It's coffee. It's comics. It's music. It's Nerds on Coffee.
Are we live? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
People can hear me right now? It's 2 hours later after Kyle asked me if he can set up his new speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Then he jizzed all over them, and now he's
Jizz
cleaning them off.
everywhere. Jizz everywhere.
Well, what's up, guys? We have probably what is going to be my favorite podcast for a reason that Kyle said as we were walking back from lunch today. Keith, you are the first person that we brought on that both Kyle and I can directly relate to your work.
Okay.
Because most everyone else that we've brought on have either been artists or other people in the industry that are more related to some of the stuff I do on the label side or more related to what Kyle does. But you being a road guy like me and Kyle,
There's just the most overlap.
It's the most overlapping.
Yeah.
That's good and bad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to allow for a lot of deep, dark black holes, but also for some cool camaraderie.
Well, I told Matt, I was just like, I'm just going to set an internal timer and see how long it takes for it to just turn into one massive circle jerk of just be like, of just like, yeah, our job's really cool, but also fuck this industry. We hate everything and everyone.
Absolutely.
This is great.
Awesome.
So for everyone that doesn't know, we have Keith Albrizzi, owner and operator of Evil Panda, which is a tour and production logistics company who's worked with some of the biggest names in music and entertainment. Why don't you kind of talk through some of those people?
Client-wise?
Yeah. Just name a few names so people realize that they got to fucking listen to what you have to say.
Exactly.
I've been doing it for about 28 years. I've worked with everyone from GNR to Fleetwood Mac to the Chili Peppers to Stevie Nicks to Jesus, everybody.
Whitney, right?
Whitney, Mariah, Sting, which is
basically if they had a platinum record, you worked with them.
There's a good chance I was involved in some way.
Yeah.
No, totally.
Not, it just depends on the artist.
And most currently, you've been doing a lot of work for the Cyruses, both Miley and Noah.
Yeah, more Noah than Miley because Miley's been doing the voice and now she's getting back out on the road.
That's right.
And then, been hanging out with some other new artists that are coming out that are emerging.
I know that you just did a tour with Jimmy Buffett and a kind of trailblazing country artist, right?
Yep. Caroline Jones.
Yep, Caroline Jones. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of cool stuff about her.
Yeah. I will say this about Miley. She
comes in like a wrecking ball.
has no.
God.
She to date is one of probably the only people that has crossed over into not necessarily being a country artist, but like she sang on the Grammys with Dolly Parton. She's been like pretty out there in terms of singing a lot of like country music and from coming from such a heavy pop background.
Yep.
And she's one of my favorites that has done that because I think that she can just really, really, really like hammer that down. Like the tone of her voice, I think you couldn't ask for a better person, in my opinion, to like lean into the country genre just because of how her voice is naturally. And to date, she does my absolute all-time favorite cover of Jolene.
Yeah, everybody says that.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's one of the pinnacles. But I think when you start talking about Miley, you really have to start looking at the hierarchy in the family. With Billy Ray, because Billy Ray crosses genres, and I think that's where
that's true.
It started in that family in the Crux, and Billy can sing Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Billy can do everything.
Yeah, she had a good model.
Yeah, and he's famous for Achy Breaky Heart, but talent-wise, he's instilled that in all the kids, which has been very impressive because Noah's the exact same way. They're not afraid to cover any genre at any point, and that's what this is about. Because when you find, and I've been very lucky that you get artists that are truly in love with music, not just saying, hey, I need to be famous or I need to have the clicks or I need this bullshit. It's actually they love music. And that's really what Miley's about, is about the music.
Well, and the Cyruses overall just seem fearless. Like they just, man,
for sure.
I love it.
My favorite Miley moment had to be the Kimmel thing, though. Have you seen that?
Which one?
You're the one that showed it to me, and I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, where she came on Kimmel and like snuck into his house with Kimmel's wife and did the wrecking
Oh
ball.
yeah.
Best thing. Best thing I've ever seen.
Awesome.
Literally, I was crying
That's
because
hilarious.
she actually hit Jimmy in the nuts.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, they have great senses of humor. Yeah, overall, always been a big Miley Cyrus fan. Obviously, I mean, I grew up listening to Billy Ray off and on through, various records that he put out.
Sure.
And, more recently in my career, hopped on the Noah Cyrus train, love everything that she's been doing.
Yep.
And we talked off air. I mean, we have so many buddies that one guy in particular that's her music director in her band, and lots of people that we know.
Shout him out.
Yeah.
Nolan.
Nolan Frank.
He's a gangster.
Nolan Frank Music on Instagram. He's an incredible music director. He's a great keys player. He's a terrible fucking human, but he's really good at his job.
Wait, you got to time out. The one thing about Nolan that nobody really knows is his stinky ass feet.
Yeah.
It is disgusting. I've been on multiple tours with him. I actually have a pair of his shoes sitting in my garage that he's been asking for almost 2 years.
What?
And I won't give them back because they are horrendous.
So
I
you're
think
at
we
this
should have
point.
a campfire and burn
You've
them.
taken it upon yourself to be a responsible member of society and protect the rest of us
Oh, yeah.
from the
It is
extremities
horrible.
of Nolan's bodily
It is
odors.
horrible.
That's amazing.
So I want to bring it back now. Now that we kind of got in the flow now, I want to bring it back to your first gig. What was that journey like? What were you doing before you started working on the production side of live events?
Yep. So go back into the late 80s. And
So Kyle wasn't born yet.
Nope.
Well,
Kyle
neither
wasn't
were
born.
you.
I was born in the late 80s.
I was born in the late 80s too.
Like what year?
88.
Yeah, 89. Keith's looking at both of us like, you fucking cocksuckers. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Wow.
You can't one up me when we're 7 months
right.
apart.
I know, but
Right.
89 is such a shitty year.
No, it's not.
Yeah, 88's the best year.
So I think it was Fleetwood Mac.
In 87.
Yeah. And sure. And John Reese and Earl Gavinoff. John Reese is now Slipknot, the festival.
Yeah.
Huge promoter, right? So John used to live in Arizona. And I was playing baseball in Arizona. My dad moved to Phoenix to watch me play, and he bought a computer company. And these two guys next door to that company was John Reese and Earl Gavinoff, and they opened a company called Inside Out Event Services.
Yeah.
And they were kind of fresh out of college, and they were getting some acts. They were coming in, and they're big security guys. I mean, John's not a little dude; he's a
Right.
big dude. And I was coming in one day with a couple buddies, and I believe the offer was $50 if we wanted to work one of the shows in Arizona. So we're like, yeah, $50 and a free concert.
Right?
And
Yeah.
people need to understand, though, that you were, on your way to playing professional baseball.
I was playing minor league.
Right, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
minor league ball. So, and I lived with, I think it was 8 other guys at that time. So we all went, and the nice thing that kind of came and spawned off of that was I ended up becoming friends with these guys, but and now this is going to be a little sad. Back then they didn't have a computer. So we did a lot of things via fax. So we would get offers from David Geffen, from some of the biggies in the industry, because these guys were doing more of the management or security or whatever it was. And really it would allow me to kind of look at the foundation while I went to school and see the business process of what was going on. So, from that point, I was lucky enough to work with John, work in the computer industry, and do baseball. There again, I'm like Jamaican, so I've always,
Right.
and Matt will tell you, I've always done a bunch of different jobs.
It's astounding.
Yeah.
And I've been very lucky in regards to that, as we kind of maybe explore that. But
Oh, I'm exploring the Segways later.
okay, so so from that point on, I just kind of learned from what I consider, John Reese, which is he's an icon in the industry. So and he still does some of the biggest fests, huge in Long Beach, just massive.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard this story was on an ATV, are they?
Side by side.
Side by side with Keith. Because another thing about Keith is that he's probably both of our heroes when I tell you this. Not only does he have a family, great house, works in music, but on his off time he goes on side by sides and does off road driving.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
amazing.
greatest thing ever. Are you racing with your brother this year, right?
No, I've got too busy. My brother's doing it solo.
There was a time at the end of last year where
I
you
was
were
all
in.
fired
Oh
in.
man.
Yep.
No,
Well,
side
can
by
we
side's
pick
so
a
sick.
Can we pick a day and we'll just go? Just
We've been trying to get.
Yeah,
it
we've been
done
trying to
for
go
like
back
6
out.
months.
Yeah.
I just can't get home
man.
long enough.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because
fair. That's fair.
you're. I want to dive more into your past because there's a great story with flying to a few events until it really kicked it off. But why don't you let everyone understand what like tour life is? Like you're home now for like a week, right?
About a week and a half.
And then you go to China.
I know it just came back.
just
from
came
China.
back from China.
I just went from in the last 3 weeks. I went Hong Kong, Shanghai, Chengdu.
Is
and
this
then,
with Caroline?
It's a little bit of both. So we had a new artist over there that I was talking to, and then she stopped over, and then we flipped over and just did the European leg of Sea to Sea, which was Dublin, Glasgow, and London, and then just flew back 3 days ago. So
And then you're back on the road.
and then Sunday I'll start doing promo in Nashville with Caroline. And then we start off with Kenny Chesney on the 2nd at Yum Yum Center.
This is all domestic now.
A lot of
coming
it'll
up,
be,
yeah.
Yep. Oh, and then I've got Noah. Noah's got a gig on March 22nd in Gainesville. Please stop by and enjoy the show.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
shout out. So let's go back to this 20 plus years ago. You're doing the security. You're slinging computers on the side and you're playing baseball.
Yep.
Sounds like the best life ever, to be honest. But
And single.
and
And
even
single.
better. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Love you, Alexis. But she got really salty about this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, she's really upset that you got to meet Keith before she does.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, she
I met her though.
but not like
Not-
really
yeah, we
met
haven't
her.
hung out.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
I think you guys it was like maybe like a 5 or 10 minute
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
how are you?
Yeah.
It wasn't like cigars in your
Official.
backyard.
Right.
Right.
Right on.
That's
Right on.
amazing.
And yeah, she was like, wow.
So what you're saying is I should text her
Yeah. Oh,
about it. I should text her about
100%.
it. And just be like, hey,
Nice.
you should know that I'm better than you.
100% you should do that. You're gonna get a text then from Amanda because Alexis, it'll be like a ping pong effect.
That's amazing.
But okay, so as I was saying, you're doing anything and everything that every respectable male would ever want to be doing with their life, and now you get an opportunity to go travel with the security company, right?
Yep.
I want to hear about that.
The one thing way back when in the day, I guess, with John and Earl was they were landing some of the biggest bands. I mean, you had Whitney Houston come in town and leave, and then what happened was we started attaching ourselves to some of the biggest artists, like pulling GNR off the road,
Gotcha.
and they blew up. So I was a part of that, seen it firsthand. Know the guys very well in the band over the years, and it's been kind of crazy. So, back then it was a much different industry than what it is today. That's the one thing that, looking back is it has changed so dynamically over the years.
For sure.
What would you say is the biggest change? Like if you can single out one or two things from when you started to what you see people doing now.
From the band perspective,
Sure.
bands are healthier. 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We start seeing that in a little bit in the late 90s when metal started kind of dying a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but then, there's a lot of prevalent things that have stayed there the whole time. But I would say in the last 15 years, health has been so important. And, they're not drinking as much. They're definitely not partying like they used to.
Yeah.
And the icons, you look at the Crew, you look at GNR, you look at some of these unbelievable bands. These guys could rip it up. I mean, they put everybody to bed.
They're equally as famous for like their partying and like how crazy their lifestyles were as they were for any song they ever wrote.
Absolutely.
Like, and especially like bands from that era.
Yeah.
And GNR's Guns N' Roses for people that might not know.
Yeah. So that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes perfect sense though. I mean, because we're seeing that like that's not sustainable. Like, because you can't go that hard for that long and expect to make it out how you went into it.
No, and, and these guys are still walking the earth, which is really, you haven't heard of anything like somebody needs a liver transplant. You would
Sure,
have thought these
sure,
guys
yeah.
would have wasted those years
I would have
ago.
thought for sure Keith Richards would have been dead by now.
Right.
Absolutely
Steven
not.
Tyler talks about it.
Yeah.
He's on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple months ago, and he talks about like he has no idea how he hasn't needed a bunch
Right.
of shit.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah.
A lung, something.
Yeah,
you would
it's
think these
crazy,
guys would have
man.
just toasted out.
I mean, but they are athletes in their own right? They're just athletic
Right.
partiers.
Yeah,
Right?
pretty much.
Because like, I mean, if you think
Yeah,
about
they're
it, you
physical partiers.
You do some of the shit that an athlete does right now from a fitness standpoint, you would be hurting.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Right? Like you try to do their workout, you couldn't move.
Yeah.
Same thing
I,
with
I probably
with
couldn't even masturbate like half of those guys do. Like if we're really getting into it, man, just be like, nope, I can't.
No.
Even, not even on that level. Like, yeah.
I love that. That's what you think about. It really folds back another layer of your psyche for me.
Well, I'm just thinking about, like, what's the one thing that, like any guy can relate to put into perspective, like the scale and like the difference between how much better a professional athlete is than me or any average person is the fact that I probably can't even masturbate as well as those guys, and I'm like fucking CEO of like Master Corp in my house, you know what I mean? And I'm just like I'm getting outperformed every day by these dudes, and
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, so just put it in perspective of how much better these guys are at that, and then to continue that scale, that's how much better like Steven Tyler is at partying than you are,
Right.
You know.
Was that Amanda being like, "Don't talk about that on the air"?
Oh no! It was actually my reminder to go to the gym.
Oh, nice.
Nice. There you go. There you go.
Perfect timing.
Actually,
There you
my
go.
like my gym calendar hasn't quite synced up with the podcast and travel calendar yet.
Amazing.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
So Keith, I wanna start talking about something that you do better than probably anyone I know in the entertainment business, and that's juggling the corporate America and entertainment business together. And I don't mean necessarily by having a corporate gig, but using corporate resources and bleeding it into entertainment. And I don't know really anyone else that is a CEO of their own small business that does it on the scale that you can do it at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what to say to that. Thank you would be number one, but one of the things that and I've had a lot of great teachers over the years, and I think that's where it comes from, right? So you look back, and the one thing I haven't done is I have not survived on this industry. It's a great income, and you do very well, but at the same time, I've learned early on that you have to diversify, and we've talked about this
100%.
at my house smoking cigars, and it's one of those things that. I mean, I love music and I do anything for it. And today I got another request for possibly another gig. But at the same time, I know that like anything else, we're vulnerable in this industry. And if you don't take care of that, because when, I think of Kyle now, I would now think of his family, like I thought of you and Alexis. And these are things that in the industry that if you don't diversify, because if, maybe people that listen to this are all industry, but for the people who don't listen to this, you'll get lulls in this industry.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We're not out 365, and those 2 to 3 months, maybe 4 months, and then you might have a month in the middle of it. It can financially ruin your ass.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And seeing that when I was 18 years old, I realized you got to do more. You got to do that next step. So then that allowed me to what you were talking about was trying to connect the dots. And once I started learning how to connect the dots that, we might be in Brazil, but Johnson & Johnson might want to talk to my artist in Brazil, even if it's for a post, if it's for anything, and being able to acknowledge it and say, hey, guess what? I'm coming to this town. Who can I connect with? Who can get me those type of people to get in front of it? And in the industry, you can't ever make enough money for your artists. You can't ever bring in enough. And even though I'm a tour manager, I never really gave a shit about what a manager says because I don't work for the manager.
Sure.
I work for that
100%.
artist.
Yeah, that's
So-
an important distinction to make too for people listening. It's like because the artist is like technically a client of yours, and like their manager doesn't really have anything to do with your job.
I don't really interface with management for cheat codes. I interface
Yeah.
directly with the guys.
Right.
exactly.
And I don't know if I could say this proudly, but at the same time, I'm okay with telling a manager to fuck off because
sometimes you have to.
Right.
No,
Sometimes
but
you absolutely have to
because they're just honestly, in my mind, they're just upper level management like you are.
Right.
The artist is the CEO and you're the VPs of the company.
Yep.
You guys are all on the same level and in a different distinction. My baseline for what you just said is and in the most respectable way of saying, like, fuck off, the only people that I feel comfortable saying that to is if I gave them the job that I'm doing, they couldn't do it.
Right.
So now you need to listen to me because what I'm bringing is what you need for this client.
Right. And I don't want to get into the conversation that management's lazy because I won't
100%.
say they're lazy.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that they have all the different angles and they're thinking of anything. And any manager who does, I think, is full of shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of full of shit people in this industry.
Way more than there should be.
Right. Because
It's because there's no barrier to entry.
Yeah, you and I were just
Exactly.
talking about Go Nine, you know, in those relationships, you know, and being able to do something for an artist that either is expected or not, but where does Go Nine go from there? Well, I know that my Go Nine vice president is connected to 5 other people, and maybe that's out of the music world, but we can then tag that in, and all I'm doing is opening that up, not directly to the artist, but to management, saying, did you think of this? So I think, you know, if you're going to be touring and you're going to do a job, well, fucking do it right if you're going to do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah,
And
1,000%.
You always talk about that when you're coming in as a session player.
Yep.
Right? You always say, like, I don't care if you're not the one producing it and all these things, if you're just getting paid to play the guitar, you're going to play the guitar as hard as you fucking can.
Yeah,
Right.
because like to me, and I tell a lot of younger session guys they're trying to because I'll do like seminars and master classes and stuff too, and I'm actually on the advisory board for a music school. And one of the things that I told a lot of the younger guys, because I get hit up by so many dudes who, first of all, think that I am like way like more put together than I really am. You know, first of all, the fact that they're even asking is like humbling in and of itself. Because it's like,
awesome.
oh man, you really don't know
How much you jerk off.
how much I fucking masturbate.
Right. And compare it to a professional
Compared to
athlete.
a professional athlete. You know, it's a quantity over quality kind of thing. You know, I'd say I'm putting up more shots, but they're sinking more baskets. You know what I mean? So,
Amen. Amen.
so I think that one of the things that I've said is that I truly believe this, that you know, you like your word and what you say you're going to do for someone when they hire you is more important than any other detail around that deal, because the moment you agree to do something for someone, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, even the people involved in making that deal, give a fuck about what kind of money is on the table beyond you saying, you hired me, I accept. Now I will deliver because you got my number for a reason.
Yep.
You know, and so by that logic, it doesn't matter if I'm hooking a friend up for free or if I greatly reduce my fee or my rate to work on a record with somebody or to play for someone or tour with someone.
100%.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because when that's over, the only thing that's left is the product that I contributed to, and everyone else that doesn't know how the details surrounding why we did that is only going to look at the end result, and if that's bad, it's going to reflect poorly on me.
100%.
So your reputation's the only thing that you have to defend
I
at that
call
point.
that your footprint.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're leaving your footprint, and when we go into any gig, any city, anything, what can we add to that footprint, or what do we leave when we look back at it and say,
absolutely,
that is what you did. And honestly, we're only, and you know this, Matt, that we're only as good as our last gig.
100%.
That's exactly it too. Like,
and I think so in our last episode, we brought on this guy named Ted Yeshin, who's the vice president of talent marketing at Wasserman Sports Agency.
Right.
And something that we talked about with him was the transference of skills on a sales guy, because he came from sales. And I think that's relevant because from a touring standpoint, and something that I personally didn't think was transferable, but you proved me wrong, was this past year where you've been touring music primarily, I think exclusively probably up until last year. And then last year you took on, I don't want to get the wrong magician, but David Blaine, and you did his entire world tour.
Yep.
And that, I mean, that's not music. That's magicry, right?
Yeah.
That sleight of hand.
It's theater.
It's theater, right? So what was that like? Was it what you expected? Was it more than you expected? From the point of view of you saying, like, cool, at the end of the day, this is logistics and touring, just like a band. I'm going to put it together the same way. And then from that concept of saying, yes, I'm going to do this, to the actuality of every show and event, how similar or dissimilar is it or was it from touring a musician?
Yeah, it's the one thing I'd say. I'd actually back up a little bit because I've had one Korean artist which they kind of hit me blindside when you do this. So I think international artists coming to the U.S. or a theater production, pretty much you can't prepare yourself for what it is, because who knew that in theater, especially with magic, it comes down to timing, it comes down to lights, it comes down to angles and cameras, where, usually we're worried about IEMs, in-ear monitors, or we're worried about
guitar amp.
Right, something else. And this, we all went in, and the nice thing about David was he gave me the entire production. So I hired every one of these people when we did the gig, and it was another fantastic learning experience to put in the belt. And the ensemble of characters that we put together were just so fast and so wide and so dynamic, but none of us have ever done that type of theater before. So we had no idea. And I give David a lot of credit because it starts from the top down. It always does. And David nurtured, he helped us, he got us to understand without chopping anybody's head off. Because we came close. I mean, we came really fucking close for a couple guys, but it's one of those things that you've got to get it right, because in magic, it's the easiest thing for someone to think
It's
that you're
black
slimy.
and white. It either worked or it didn't.
Right.
Well,
in
in music, you miss a note and you come back on the
you can
next
recover.
bar, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, the margin of error in the production like that, I would say, is probably zero.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because even down to a lighting cue, if you miss that, it can change the entire visual representation of what's going on, and what he's trying to communicate just misses.
Right. And David's very unique because, he is he already has the thought in his mind, and I can say this openly, that people think magicians are somewhat street or sleazy or this, which is, I feel, 100% wrong, but that's part of his mantra. And, it was amazing. It was absolutely one of the funnest experiences. And I know for a fact, every one of those people on that tour would come back and do it again. It was that good of a time. And the nice thing is, as a collective family, as you create one on the road, we've actually been able to maintain that somewhat, and we're just waiting for him to get himself in that position to go out again.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's so fun.
I was texting Keith pretty regularly during that run, and I will say attitude's the wrong word, but the representation of emotion from the beginning to the middle to the end was I don't understand how it could have started at such a learning curve and ramped up to we have this on lock in literally weeks.
Man.
Yep.
It was wild. I remember the first show, Keith was like, this is gonna be hard. We're gonna get it done, and then by the fifth show, he's like, we got this on lock now.
Yeah.
That level of adaptation on the road is so much harder than anybody realizes.
Yeah. And I think someone, and we all know Kyle Ronan, and that's where that
what a beast.
Right. So
Ronan the accuser.
None of this happens without Ronan.
Yeah.
He's my homie. Love him to death. He knows
While doing this, he advanced Logan's entire tour with us.
and he was doing
Yeah.
Noah with me.
All during this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And-
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I forgot about that because we were at dinner in Vegas, and we kind of coming out of having to deal with all that. I think we just got back from Mexico or something
Yeah,
like that, and
absolutely.
it was just oh man. I think I told him in person, I was like, I couldn't have put even some of this together if it wasn't for your help in terms of being able to work with Mag and a lot of the production shit done, even with Logan and some of the shows that we were doing. The dude's he's just a big piece of glue that holds so many things together.
He's everything. Like I said, I just texted him a little bit ago before I got here. So, yeah, Kyle's a part of my daily activity.
Yeah, Kyle's amazing. So jumping back, because I didn't tell Kyle this Kyle, and not tell Mr. Perrin this facet about you, and I think he's gonna find it amazing. But you brought Segways to America.
Well, no, they were already here. Dean Kamen was
But
the
you
guy
were
who
like
did
the
it.
seller. You
Yeah.
like made it a thing.
Yeah. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
This
look it
is
up.
amazing.
It is a fact. It is a fact.
Yeah. So I want just tell Kyle the story.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So years ago, with my wife Claudine, we were looking for a new place to live. There was a little town called Celebration, Florida, which was Walt Disney's dream of a city within a city, right?
Okay.
And we moved over there, and we decided that we wanted to do something different. While I was still doing everything else, I had two other doing music and doing some computer stuff, just keeping everything going very well, very successful. And long story short, there was a guy named Dan Sturgis who created this car. It looks like an egg. You've seen them before, right? And it's called a NEV, a neighborhood electric vehicle. So being the dumbass that I am and having a couple bucks in my pockets, I go up to St. Augustine and I buy 9 of these cars, and I put it into a Disney community, and the police show up, and they're like, "There's no fucking way you are putting these cars in this, perfect
I love that
community."
Disney
Right.
police.
Right.
Like
Oh, dude, it was a
Mickey
scene.
Mouse came and arrested you.
That's
it was
amazing.
It was a scene. So I panicked. I go down to the hotel. I work
You're
out
like,
a
"Oh,
deal.
shit."
So then slowly and then Brent Bucci, who actually owns indoor football, anyone who knows that, is the guy's perfect. But Brent was leaving his retail spot, and he's like, "Hey man, why don't you just take over my retail spot?" And I was like, "Awesome!" So I open up like this first neighborhood electric vehicle while I'm doing everything else, which you would think was easy. Fast forward for about a couple years, and then all of a sudden there's this thing called the IT that is out in the industry, or it's coming out. And it's Dean Kamen's, and we get a phone call from Michael Eisner's secretary, and said that Michael Eisner's going to come by and see us, along with this guy named Dean Kamen, and he's
Right.
bringing it. And
Like, what
I'm
the
like,
fuck does that even mean?
right, right. Well, I knew what
It's
it
a
was.
clown that's gonna kill you.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Pretty much. So he comes in, and we go down to the end of our little area, and he shows me, and I ride this Segway. And I was like, this is awesome. And he's like, tomorrow we're going to go up and we're going to introduce this to the world. Would you like to be a part of it? We jumped on it immediately.
Yeah.
We did a year-long study in celebration to release it. I hired Segway engineers along with Dean's employees. We released both of their models, the P and the I series. I know way too much about Segways than the
That's
normal
amazing.
animal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I opened a bunch of stores up. We rented them out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I can single-handedly thank you for like every elevated National Mall Washington D.C. experience I've ever had.
Pretty much.
Just go like rolling through D.C. like all
Yep.
Arlington, everything. Just like
Yep.
What's the actor's
is
name?
so great.
Kevin that did Mall Cop.
Oh,
Kevin James.
Kevin
Yes,
James. Yes.
yes.
So Kevin James could thank you, because without you, he would never have done a movie on a Segway.
Yeah, because
Well.
I mean they're not making Mall Cop without him on a Segway. I
Right.
would
Yeah,
say
no,
that.
that movie doesn't.
I would say like they don't.
Right.
You don't even kind of have the same marketing power if you just film fucking Kevin James running through a
Right,
hallway. Like
right.
doesn't work that
But-
way.
So that's the good side of it. Now,
That's awesome.
You want to hear the bad side?
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Okay, so because I'm an open book, so I'm going to tell you the bad side. So, if anyone who's ever lived in the New England area or has ever been to anyone visiting, and you've had the postman come by and visit with you, or come by and visit, postman's come by and put the mail in, you'll notice that when they do the mail there, they come to the house and they put the mail into by the door, and then he walks across the grass to the next place. So there was a deal on the table, which was the biggest deal for Segway, which was the USPS, the United
yeah.
States Postal Service. They were going to buy hundreds of thousands of these fuckers, and they're going to put them all over the place, which was awesome. But we had to give them the Segways for testing, which was done in Tampa, Florida. So we deliver a handful of Segways, and they start testing them. Well, they bombed, absolutely bombed, because guess what you don't do in Florida? You don't cut across
Yep.
somebody's fucking grass.
No, you do not.
Ever. So guess what we did to those batteries? We chopped them in half. So they didn't work, and they went back and you got to realize
man.
they designed factories for these fucking things. So At the same time, that was great for me. It was also not so great.
Well, at that point, someone comes back with a note about how your machine is operating, and the only way to solve that is to invent a new product from
Right.
the ground up.
Right.
There's no going back.
Right.
You can't like alter it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And were you on tour during all this?
on and off.
So imagine being at a show and were you home when you got that information?
No, I was actually in town because we had guys like Matt Gelbach and Doug Fields, these masterminds at DECA, which is Dean Kamen's brain company. You know, it stands for it, and DECA is in a lot of schools now. Yeah, it was. I mean, for me, it didn't have so much of an impact because I had a great rental business.
Sure.
And I really didn't give a shit. I just had to supply the data, and when
Right.
we did that, it was just
It was not good.
oh, it was heartbreaking
Damn.
for them.
Do you take Segways on tour and you put them in the trailer, like or on bus, or like?
No.
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 That's not how you're rolling.
No,
All
I don't
right.
even have one. I haven't had one in years.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
But I do have the only other key that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's probably more. I could start any Segway in the world. I have that one key.
Whoa.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Should
'cause
we
they're all
test that out
Java.
at a mall?
Skeleton key. Yeah.
And yes, I have.
Well, absolutely. You're gonna
What
yeah.
self-respecting man
Yeah.
wouldn't try?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I would try it more for the fact that I call bullshit on someone telling me it's a skeleton
Right.
key.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I'd be more skeptical than anything.
Oh yeah, I'm like, hey
Yeah.
man, I could start that, and they go, no, you can't. They're all Java, and I'm like, you want to fucking bet?
Yeah. Someone had to make Java, asshole. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you're on tour, and what am I trying to say? Okay, so you're on tour on and off all the time, and you have 3 kids, right?
I have 4.
4. I didn't even know that. How? I want to know how you were able to raise such an amazing family, because not only I only really know the story of one of your children, but I know all of them are doing their own awesome thing. But one of them's on network television
Yeah,
at like
Tucker.
16, right?
No, he's 19.
19.
You're close.
He was
You're close.
16 though, or
Well, 3 years
17.
ago.
Yeah. No, when we first met, it was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
younger.
yeah,
I
I think
I
he's
just assumed
17.
he didn't age.
He's just an age.
right.
Yeah.
But Kyle has a 2-year-old.
Yep.
So I'd love to hear like what are some of the things that you did to ensure that you had that work-life balance, because I think a stigma in the entertainment business is that you have to work to death and forget about all other responsibilities in life until you get successful, and then continue to forget about all
Yeah.
other responsibilities in
Yeah.
life.
No, you're 100% right, and I kind of take a little pride in this part of what I've done or what we've done as a family, and give obviously my wife Claudine is the mastermind.
legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the mastermind, but
Picks out great wine, just FYI.
everything is done by design. So we talked a little bit about being on the road, and you got to have everything in place, because when you're out on the road, you're focused. You've got to do your job, and whatever that job is. But it's like going to stage, right? You can't be thinking about that bill that has to be paid, or
Yeah.
something that has to be that problem. And if you don't create the resources in your world and have those in place, then I don't really think that you can do it 100%. I'm not knocking it, because I've been there with 1,000 other people that didn't have their shit together, and it's tough. But at the same time, I've also seen a lot of couples break up because they didn't have their shit together.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to do in this industry. Raising 4 kids, they all like me still that I'm aware of. We talk all the time.
That's a feat in and of itself, on the road or not.
Yeah, just as a parent in
I
general,
mean,
man. Like,
today
yeah.
I think I hit it all, because I think all 4 of them communicated with me today.
That's
so,
great.
crazy.
Yeah.
What are the age ranges?
Start at 27.
So 27 down to 19.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've
It's a
raised
pretty
them all.
solid age gap for 4 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was it
We're a
you?
blended
You're
family.
you're the mistake, right?
I think so. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
10 years younger than my sister, and 6 years younger than my brother. So it was them for a couple of years, and then a while,
Yeah.
and then me.
Yeah. You're the party.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty much it. That's it.
Well,
dude.
I made the joke that my parents didn't really acknowledge I was a mistake until like a few years into my life, and they're like, "Oh yeah, definitely we
Yep,
fucked up."
yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
No, that's a good range though. So is your youngest being involved in the industry? Is he doing college, doing school? Is he like taking time off, or
No,
like
he
kind of what's that look
graduated.
like?
You know, him and Noah. The Cyrus relationship came around because of my youngest son. He went to
Okay.
school with Frankie Jonas and Noah Cyrus, and
Okay.
They would come over to our house and they would be, saying, "Hey, blah blah blah," and I just kind of gave him like, "I don't give a fuck who you are,"
Right.
kind of an attitude. And
Don't fuck up my couch.
right,
Yeah.
and
It's a really nice couch.
and then they would, they liked that because there were.
Because nobody treats them like that.
Well,
Everyone
I wouldn't say that, but I'm that guy that I enjoy being around the kids, and we always had a blast, and they appreciated that. When I was home, I'm home, yada yada yada. But the long story of it is that as those kids grew, just like Tucker did, my youngest, they started doing diversifying, and I've been real lucky to be a part and see that, and I think my wife still keeps in touch with Frankie, and obviously Noah's like, Jesus.
She's family.
No matter where I'm at in the world, I'd go to her. I don't think there would ever be a question about that. So yeah.
And Tucker, and I don't know if he's still doing it, so let me know if I'm off. But I remember when I first came over a couple of years ago, he was about to go on a journey to be like a tea. I don't even know what the word is, but like a tea expert.
Sommelier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
he's still doing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a big
I want to
thing.
hear about that. That to me was
Yeah.
way cooler than him being
Yeah.
on a TV show.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, I think a little bit of what we have in our house. My wife's a little bit of a hippie, so we look at the fact that you got to be what you want to be, and I'm not going to shove it down your throat that you got to have a college education. That would be
But you gotta
nice,
fucking have a college education.
but you got to have a college education, right? And
You don't have kids, Matt.
yeah,
I'm not saying you don't. I'm telling you don't have kids.
We don't know that. No, I'm just kidding.
awesome.
No, I mean you shouldn't have kids.
Oh well,
You don't get kids.
No, I do. I need to have kids. I always say, and this might be an aggressive point of view, but do you need to take that?
Nope, you're good.
But when I have my first son and he turns 11 to 12 range, I will be going into his room at like 3 a.m. with a bucket of water, dumping it on his head and being like, we're going for a run. And my thought process on that is that he's going to hate me so much
Yep.
for like 3 or 4 years. And then when he turns 16 and goes to his varsity soccer summer camp and
Just
he's
fucking
running
annihilates
laps around
it,
everyone
yeah.
else, he's going to call me and be like, I totally get it now. That's
Yeah.
how my little son Thor, that's unborn now, will become Thor.
Yep. There we go.
And the fucking therapy that he's going to need from the water that you
Oh,
gave
for
to him.
sure.
Yeah, you fucking
re-
waterboarded your little kid.
I have not waterboarded him.
Dude, you damn near waterboard him.
No, I just woke him up in an aggressive way.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That
What-
works.
Another way to say that is thank God this didn't kill him. All right, let's go work out.
That's all right. Hey,
Whatever
buddy,
doesn't
hey, buddy,
kill
wanna
you
get
makes
up?
you stronger.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's not true.
Yeah.
Whatever doesn't kill you will probably leave you paralyzed in some way.
Absolutely.
No, but I'm just joking. But
No, that's great though.
I'm not,
So he's going on and he's studying in the sommelier arts.
So he actually just kind of took up on his own. Said he wanted to learn about tea. Then we found classes, and then you become a tea master. And
Is the term sommelier still given to people outside of wine?
I believe so.
I think so too, because like I've also
it's
spoken
a
with
drinks term.
Yeah, because I've spoken
Yeah.
with like some whiskey aficionados
Yeah.
and people like that, and like they still can go through the same like accreditation
Yep.
process.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so my daughter went through Culinary Institute of America.
Oh, wow.
She does wine, she does all that, and I think a lot of that came over to Tucker, where he wanted to learn about tea. They went to Asia, picked out
awesome.
his own tea, did all that stuff, and he has a little company, but he doesn't do much with it. But tea we have a tea room in house. That's how big it is.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
yeah,
fun.
It's a fun time.
So how into tea were you, and how into it are you now, like pre and post his like journey going into learning about it, and kind of I'm sure bringing a lot back into the house, and like did you go on a little bit of like an exploration with him and be like, all right, I'm gonna like want you like show me some good stuff, I'm gonna
No.
drink, like you don't give a fuck about tea really?
No, I mean, you know what? It's his gig. And
Sure.
It's kind of like his coffee machine at home.
Oh yeah,
Don't fucking touch it.
that's
Okay?
great.
Don't I don't mess with his tea.
Sure.
So because it's his shit, and for some reason because it's his shit, I can't touch it, but he can do all his shit to my. So I need therapy for my own fucking kids. But in the big picture, it's really something that he does, and if he wants to share that little moment, that's cool.
Yeah.
But a lot of times
you don't
I'm
just
like, hey,
barge
man,
into
can
it.
you make me some tea? And he goes, nah, I'm not
Like
gonna
everyone
make you
too.
tea.
So you're saying you need like an exit interview as a parent, like you're
Pretty
coming on the
much.
other end of it now, and you need some like,
Yeah. Well, he knows, so he's getting ready to make some moves next year with his girlfriend. I think they're gonna get a place up in Canada.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Where she's
Really?
gonna go to school, but he's gonna keep acting, which is cool.
Where in Canada?
Vancouver.
Oh, fun.
yeah.
Does he
Yeah.
ski or snowboard?
No. But we've done a little bit of it. I don't see him really.
Because
jumping
Vancouver's
off.
like a big
it's
ski town.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. So he knows that I am going to come up there and do an upper decker in his toilet. He knows I'm going to destroy his life.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It just seems like the perfect dad.
100
Yeah.
and 1,000 million percent.
Like the fear, like the son's gonna be fearing.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great.
You guys are same, issues with me. Your kids will not be able to pull shit over your eyes for anything because we've seen it.
We've seen
done
it,
it.
yeah.
We've done. There's just
like the dark back end of the reality of what we've done for a living is that you cannot fuck us over or lie to us because we have already
Bullshit meter,
we've
so-
already fucked over and lied so many times and fucked up and failed.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Like there's not a new way to do that.
And I take pride
already
in
know.
that.
Yeah,
I do.
absolutely.
I own it.
Absolutely.
They're like,
Well,
oh, really? Yeah.
well,
No
we talk
shit.
a lot. We've talked a couple of episodes about people now, just in terms of like business ethics, in terms of like having integrity and not fucking someone over, even though you can. It's easy to spot bullshit because you've been given the same opportunity to fuck people over as other people have. It's like just because I haven't done it doesn't mean it hasn't presented itself to me, and I know how to do it. Having said that, I'm not perfect, and you can't bullshit a bullshitter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like that's the thing. So it's like I absolutely will not like fuck somebody over in my industry. Like I will not do wrong by somebody if I'm working with them.
Yeah, I mean, in our industry, all you have is your reputation.
Exactly.
And as soon as you screw that, you're gone.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no reason for me to use you again.
Exactly.
Totally.
Well, and you've proven that A, you can't be trusted, and B, any actual technical or professional skill set you bring to the table is now not worth it because of who you are as a person. We can hire someone else that will, at the very least, do the same job and be better to be around.
Right.
I think that's a great segue for talking about how I almost didn't hire you.
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, listeners have probably they've heard this story a couple times now, but
not with.
It's going to take on a new iteration.
Yeah.
I feel like
So-
this is really funny.
I'm so excited for your perspective on this, Keith.
Okay.
So, so for people that don't know the full story,
Because you also through your career have also probably been in charge a lot of like hiring musicians and putting people.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Keith is a key reason why I work with Logan.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So Ronan introduced me and Brent to Logan, and then Keith came in the picture and talked a bunch, and that's how it all kind of came together. So fast forward probably a month tops from when we initially first started talking. I got introduced to you. We met Logan. We all made that happen.
Right.
Pam calls me and says, "Hey, as we're building this project for Logan, we obviously need some instrumentalists and maybe an MD, and we think we found someone that can kind of fill a few shoes. His name's Kyle, and he's a church guitarist, and you should meet him." And I, at this point,
really?
owned...
That's what she said.
Right?
Yeah.
And I, at this point, own the label and have been touring with Knife Party for a while and kind of know what that means, like with the face that you just made, and very, very respectfully and everything said 100% Pam, I will go meet him. And so I come into my first time coming to this house under the assumption that Kyle is a full-time church guitarist who's looking for a way out.
Oh.
Right?
Or a way into the industry.
A way into the industry,
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Out of church, into the industry. And lucky for him, and I'll let him kind of bring it home after this. The meeting
you keep going though. Yeah.
The meeting was held in this room, not in the house, which I think was pivotal to how the tonality of the conversation went, because the second that door opened and I saw $40,000+ of guitars, my inner gut tour and production manager said, maybe there was miscommunication.
There you go. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it.
But
I love
if
it.
we were to have the meeting in the house, I don't know if I would have had
Right.
that preconceived.
You don't see that. You don't see that. You
don't see
see
it coming.
you see the shitty Ibanez acoustic I hung on my son's wall,
Right.
and you don't see all of it.
Right. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
so it turned out that what was meant to be said was that the friend who introduced Kyle to Pam met because Kyle does weekend gigs when he's not on the road at church to supplement his income.
Gotcha.
But he is
Yeah,
on
very
the road
different.
full
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And he uses it for months. As you said, when you're not on the road, how do you make money? Well,
Right.
he has a church that he plays at and they pay great. And that's where they met Kyle. He is not a church guitarist. He's a
Right.
touring musician
Yeah.
who has side gigs locally in LA.
Yeah, it's very, as you know, and Matt now knows, a very important distinction to make. Because like as a music director, I've been in the room and I've been on the other end of the table. Well, I've been on both sides of the audition process, but like
Right.
I've been on the hiring side and been like, we need to bring some guys in. And if you walk in the room and I ask like, hey man, so like, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? This is now your professional handshake. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
you need to be really careful about what you say next, because there are a couple of things that if I hear them immediately are going to discredit you. You're not going to have anything that you're going to bring to the table now that I'm going to trust your
Right.
judgment on. Like you be really careful about how you describe yourself to someone when you're asked that, because if the first thing, not that there's anything wrong with church guitar players, but if I'm in a room, if I'm in fucking Studio One at SIR, I'm
Right.
sitting on the stage, I'm spending somebody else's money to the tune of $3,000 a day just for that room,
Right.
not even anything else close to all the other production costs and even what they're paying me to be there.
Right.
And I say, hey, I'm going to give you time for an audition and you're going to come in and show me what you got. And you walk in and I ask what you do. And you go, well, I play at this church. I'm going to go get the fuck out.
Right.
Like you have
100%, yeah.
no
That's
idea how this
hysterical.
works. And I don't even kind of have the time or money or patience or even willpower to hold your fucking hand through this process
Right.
to teach you. You don't even know what you don't know at this point. Like you didn't even know. And so
awesome.
all of this is running through my head
right.
when Matt tells me this story about Pam and said, like, did I ever tell you like how Pam?
Because he didn't know. He
I
didn't know I knew
had
that.
no idea. And I have multiple times have been like, Matt, thank you for taking a chance.
Wow.
Like, lucky for you and Logan, like that I worked out,
Right,
and that it was just a miscommunication. Thank God it was just a miscommunication. But all of that is running through my head when Matt's like, yeah, Pam was like, hey, I've got a church guitarist you should hire for Logan. Instantly, that whole scene that I just painted, that floods into the front of my brain. I'm like, oh my God, Matt's the guy at the table, and I walk in, and except I don't get to speak for myself, and someone's like, yeah, here's a church guitar player in for your 9 o'clock, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
Oh man.
That's epic.
Yeah,
That's
So
epic.
I just when he told me that, inside paralysis. I was
I can't
like,
even
why
imagine.
did you even agree to meet me, man?
Because
Like
Pam's an angel.
Pam can do no wrong, and so no,
If it
100%.
wasn't Pam,
Yeah,
if
you'd
it
have
was
been-
David, I
if it was-
probably wouldn't have met
if
with
it,
you.
If it was anybody else, you'd
If
have
it
been
was
like,
Brent even, I would have been like,
you'd be like, I'm not gonna meet. I'm not
yeah.
gonna meet with that guy. Let me call somebody. Like,
but
yeah,
Pam is like angel.
yeah.
So I was like, yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
will. My time is your time.
Sure. Like let's try it out, and you're like, okay, what's in store? That's also whenever people come meet me, I always bring them right out to the studio because,
For that reason.
Because I could not be more prideful about what I get to do for a living, because I love what I get to do so much. I take so much pride in my work and being able to do everything that I've done with all these people. There's not a single inch
Right.
or aspect of what I do for a living that I just don't think is the coolest thing in the
Right.
world.
I understand
Even
that.
when I have shitty days, I'm
Yep.
just like, this is way fucking better than what anyone else that I know
Yep.
does.
Yep.
And so I always bring people out because I'm proud of like how hard I've worked, and even at the point where I am in my career, which is still, there's so many more steps ahead of me that with people that I respect and like places that I want to go. But and I'm always looking forward, in terms
Right.
of like how can I be better? How can I learn from other people? Like, how can I use these experiences to help other people and to be able to do my job better whenever I get hired? And that's why I bring people out into the studio first. And people are like, I've worked so hard already, even at 29, like walking and looking at all of the tools that I use for my job.
Right.
This is how seriously I take what I do.
Yep.
And so like that's why I do that. And I think that for that reason, when
I
Matt
think it's
walks
the
in, yeah,
foundation.
absolutely, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. And
It's my favorite thing now.
It's so funny. It is now too. For a while, I was kind of like, oh man, that's just like. But the more we talk about it, the more I realize I'm like, okay, so you were like, yeah, you walked in, you're like, this isn't. No way.
No, it wasn't like we may have conversed for 3 minutes before I realized that what I was told was not what was happening.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
either that or you're like, holy shit, I got to start getting on the church game. You go the other way with it, and you're like, did I fuck up?
Right.
Man, the church guitar players they really got something figured out here.
Oh man,
If they're all like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Or he was extremely desperate.
Yeah, or all of it's true about me of what you were afraid of, and you're like, I don't have anywhere else to go.
No, but I think it might be me that attracts it, because now that we're having this conversation again, I'm realizing that Cheat Codes' last videographer was a literal church videographer before he went on the road. Yeah. Did you ever meet Mike Coe?
I don't think so.
But Mike worked at a church and in San Diego, and then the guys, I guess, knew someone that knew the guys, and then was like, hey, I just want to like shoot your San Diego show because I'm in town. It's like something else than like my mundane church life. And after he sent in that recap, they were like, we're taking you on the road this year.
Well, sure. And that's a perfect example of the fact that, like, I definitely don't want anyone to think that, like, you don't have something to bring to the table if you play in a church. Like, that's not even kind of what I'm saying.
That.
Yeah, you could say that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, 1 out of 3 assholes agrees people don't have from church don't have anything to
I'll
do. Yeah,
anyone that plays with a cancer.
There you go.
No, how I would turn this into an encouragement is to go. And this is, I bitched a little bit about it like an episode or a couple episodes ago to Matt, and like I know that you've seen a lot of this through your career, and not just with church guys, but especially for like my generation, like my age, and like where I am in the industry in terms of like what I do for a living, social media gear, endorsements, all kinds of like all this new fad of fucking guitar players is coming, this wave of Instagram guys, and so it's like the guy that I'm talking about that really gets on my nerves is the dude that gets a gig at like a big church, 4,000 or 5,000, person a service and up kind of church, and walks on stage and then thinks that all those people are there and that he's now on that level of performing, quote unquote, performing for that number of people. And just like, oh yeah, well, like, and then looks at someone like me or somebody else that does what I do or does what we do and go like, I do what you do. At the very least, I do what you do. And at the most aggressive looks down and be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, that's cool. Like, look at the stage that I played on yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, your pastor put all those people there. He called you because like guys 1 through 17 weren't available, and you showed up in your fucking Zara jeans and walked on stage and took a photo of your pedal board and put it on Instagram. And you're like hashtagging tour life. You're putting your church. I've seen guys do this. You're putting your church services, your church service dates and times up on a post on Instagram as if they're fucking tour dates. Like,
no, they're not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge... So that, to me, it's just cringeworthy to me. I'm like, you don't even know what you don't know about the industry that you're fronting being a part of. You know what I mean?
Hey, Matt. Someone might need a therapist.
Oh, no, totally.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is his therapy.
No, I guess because I play with a lot of those guys, too.
No, I get it, man.
And a lot of them are sweet guys, but
I think one of the things that you just brought up is the hierarchy in bands. The one thing about like Nolan is nothing like this. I've got in a couple bands out there that I've worked with, that you do get the hierarchy, and you do get guys that think everyone's there and they're as big as the artist.
Exactly.
And that is just, it's a shame.
And sadly,
Nolan holds it all together because of the feet.
Yeah.
No one goes above him because of that.
Look, and I'm going to praise Nolan because I never do it. And God, I hope he never listens to this.
Yeah, he can never hear you speak highly of him.
Right.
The whole system falls apart. Yeah.
But there's a lot of jokes with me and Nolan, I'm telling you.
I love it.
Nolan, it says a lot about Nolan and him coming out of the USC program.
Yeah.
The music program, and Alex Pacino, and there's that whole crew that have just turned out, and they're on all the big tours. And you got guys who've worked their ass off like yourself to get where you got to go, and then you get these educated kids that can just break it down. And I don't want to say they've circumvented, but they really do bust their ass as hard as everyone else and understand, this is whatever that program is at USC, which I haven't dived into it deep, but is a phenomenal class.
There's a lot of good guys that come from that program.
Those guys
especially
are coming
that
out
class.
humble as shit.
Yep, absolutely. You would never know. I mean, walking into SIR with Nolan when we were putting together the Logan show. I mean, like it's literally, it's like you don't know until you talk to him, and then and then you know who he knows and kind of like start to ask him a little bit. But like Nolan's a perfect example of what to do when you come out of a program like that, because a lot of guys in the category that I'm talking about, also sadly 99 out of every 100 of the players I'm talking about now are guitar players,
right?
Because they're someone that has like the ego of a lead singer and of a front man, and the job responsibilities of a fucking shaved orangutan, it's like guitar player. I couldn't think of a more replaceable band member than a guitar player.
Every episode of this podcast, I get a deeper look into your psyche.
Yeah. About how much I resent like my own existence of being a guitar player. I wish every day of my life I would have like fucking been drawn to another instrument,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like keys players can tie everything together, run tracks, rigs, MD way easier than guitar players can. Drummers and bass players, rhythm sections, much more crucial to the fundamental aspects of what's going on musically on stage and being able to fill things out. And like obviously, like lots of people put those in tracks, but like I'm just like I've always made
you would rather play saxophone.
Well, no, I want more than 2 gigs a year. I'm just saying, So like you can have your like integrity. I'll take the gigs. Sure, I'm not going that far. But what I'm saying is that like if you look at a bed, like you have like the drummer, bass player, like they're like the frame of the bed, and then you have like the box spring and the mattress, and you have like keys players and like other. Like other people in the very top, like the little throw pillow is the guitar player. You know what I mean? It's like on any given day, you're like, I don't want a red one today. I want a blue one. So it's like guitar players in and of themselves are just such fickle musicians, but they're definitely the most egotistical that I've seen.
Really?
And maybe they're not more egotistical, but there are more of them, and so you see more of the egotistical ones because there's for every good bass player out there, there's 50 guitar players that you could hire. That I see anyway. Maybe it's just because I'm a guitar player and I
think it's because you're a guitar player.
So on your end of it, like you think, like you're saying that like you don't see a lot of asshole guitar players, like
I'm real lucky because again, I like them all.
Yeah.
So they all work real well. I'm a huge, Will Bowen, Alex Pacino. There's a lot of great guitarists out there, and I don't really, my job is to like everyone and have everybody like me.
Right.
Because if I do that, my job's a little bit easier.
For sure. Because if not, you're an angry babysitter.
Correct.
Yeah.
The cat, one of the cats I'm trying to herd.
Exactly.
Has some really long fucking nails and it hurts. But I think when you deal with so many different personalities, now I don't see that side of it. I hear about it once in a while, but I try to remove myself from that because honestly, I can't do what you do. I don't want to do what you do. That's why I try to separate those lanes and just stay out of my fucking lane, and I'll stay out of your fucking lane.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, let's hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to, on that note about like tour life on the road, I'm assuming you've been to a lot of countries. Do you know how many?
No.
I just did it last week. I was curious. I'm at 37.
Oh wow!
Yeah, crazy,
cool. That's
right?
dope, yeah.
You should do it. It was like empowering to like do that number. It's
like sit down and look.
Because what I would do is I was like putting it in my notepad and I was like, I think this is it, and I'd send it to Alexis, and she was like, what about this country? And it would remind me of like 3 other countries
you're like, oh,
also
shit.
that I've been to, and then by the end of it, I was like, shit, it's 37. I bet you're at more because you have businesses in Africa.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to Africa. You like do one drive, you hit 5 countries.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to know like what has been your favorite place that you've been to?
Boy, that's
top
tough.
5 if you don't want to give one.
Yeah, in no particular order.
I'm a big fan, and I never thought, because I have a house, I'm going to sound a little bougie here. I have a house in the Bahamas.
It's not bougie because you want to share it. You've given me an open invitation, so it's not bougie.
It's true. Absolutely.
Yeah. There we go.
But I really...
You have to swim to get there.
No, you don't.
No, Kyle does.
Okay,
Kyle has to swim to get there.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Yeah,
You
fair
gotta
enough.
swim.
That's fine.
That's awesome.
Joke's on you, man. I got that Michael Phelps ratio. My arms are way longer than they need to be.
I think some of the, I'm a big fan of Switzerland, Sweden, France. I love the Alps. I love those places. St. Moritz, Switzerland, did a gig there. Just some of the most beautiful parts of the earth. Just because I think they're so dramatic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess those would be my top.
That's great.
I love doing a show in Sweden because you look out and it's a sea of blondes. And I think it's one of the fewest places, or, Scandinavian countries, just I find the people very beautiful and very articulate. And it's very fun. And last year we did a bunch of shows with Alan Walker, who's out of Norway, and just had a blast. I mean,
That's
you just
awesome.
can't beat it. So yeah, absolutely.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
I like Europe a lot too. I've only been to like North Africa.
You've been to Africa? Mm-hmm. For what?
Morocco?
Yeah, I was in Djibouti for a couple of days. I went.
Say that name again.
I was in Djibouti. And so I was on a tour with Armed Forces Entertainment, which
yeah.
That was in Africa.
Well, that was all through the Middle East and Southwest Asia, Africa.
Oh, so it was fly dates.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was just Middle East. I didn't realize that it was.
Yeah, no, we went over. I mean, and we were even
wow.
flying everywhere in the Middle East too.
Well, I guess that makes sense. You kind of have to.
Yeah, I'm not crossing those borders on land. Are you crazy?
Can we talk about some of the stuff that you do in Johannesburg and Cape Town?
The bars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
so, fun fact is that Keith owns a couple of restaurants. Are they like bed and breakfasts?
No, they're bars.
They're bars.
Yeah, and really Murphy's the center point on all that.
Right. Yeah.
cool.
So
I have a actual business partner. One of them, his name is Murphy Poindexter.
That's amazing.
yeah. No. And if you meet him, he is Murphy Poindexter.
Like he embodies that for sure.
For sure.
Love it.
He's a financial genius. I mean, the guy's brilliant. But we did a tour for an Asian artist, a Korean artist, CL, who was in band 21. So they do 150,000 people at their show. She came over and did her first
wild,
U.S.
yeah.
tour, and she went down to 2,500. So she was just like a pissed off wet cat.
Oh, I'm sure she's like this entire the total cap for this venue is like not even my VIP
Right.
section. These arenas I'm
Right.
doing overseas, like
Yeah. So it was my beatdown tour I had a couple years ago, from an international perspective of bringing an artist over, and one of the guys who put it together was actual Murphy, and
That's how you guys met.
That's how we met.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
They liked the way, because I put the production together. I also ran it, obviously, firsthand. And they really liked the way I ran it. So they're like, hey, let's talk a little bit about some side business. So they had some investors. They came together. We partnered with some guys down in Joburg and in South Africa. And we went in and partnered and got a couple bars.
that's awesome.
What are the name of the bars?
Oh, shit.
That's a great name.
I actually, off the top of my head, I don't know because I don't deal with it every day.
I was just gonna plug it so that we could all go there next time we're in Africa.
Yeah, I was
Let's
trying
do
to
it.
get Kyle Ronan to go there. And I don't know why he didn't. I don't think he had time. I think he went down with TLC. They did some shows down there.
Tight.
But he
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that, people don't realize, but in South Africa, they're starving for entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Because
Because you have that other side gig with Murphy to try to bring artists over,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, because
That's how I met Murphy. He came to Sony and was pitching it for AJR and potential Logan.
gotcha.
So I sat in on a meeting with Brent, Tony, and
Right.
Murphy.
Oh,
Right.
for like Africa dates.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, because they just opened up public radio about 3 years ago.
Oh wow, that
Down-
recent?
Yeah. So
Man.
they were controlling the airwaves. So now there's a big flood of new artists that are going
yeah.
down in there, and they're trying to bring them up. And international, like Bieber went down there and killed it.
That's great.
TLC went down there and killed it. So, but the problem is, no one's planning it, because once you get down to Italy or anywhere in that direction, it's such a goddamn long haul to get there. And then where
Oh,
do you
yeah.
bounce out from there to make more
Well,
money?
it's like doing shows in Hawaii. It's like
Right.
it's like when we go like take all this fucking production over there
Right.
for 2 shows. It's not really like backline there either.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
so, like
Absolutely.
Yeah, it turns into a logistical nightmare pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're trying to kind of bridge that gap.
Well, yeah, that was one of our goals that we're still trying to do is bring bands down there. The good news is there's enough bands out there from the 80s and 90s that have interest. So we were bringing Crash Test Dummies in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so some
That's awesome.
of those places where it can really pay off.
Yeah.
And you can get the bang for the buck. So
That's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
That brings up a question, and I think a lot of people will be interested to know is I think everyone, if they don't know, they could probably guess that it takes a lot of hard work to put together a big show or an arena show, or you know what I mean? Because
It takes
you
a lot
see,
of hard work to put any show together.
no,
Yeah,
100%,
yeah.
100%. But where I'm going with this is that like you can look on stage and you see how big the venue is, and even if it's not, even if it's kind of lost on you because you don't really know how the industry works, you can be like, yeah, that took a lot of work. It's a big show, but I don't think a lot of people realize what you just said is that like almost that same level of work goes into almost any size show.
Yes.
And you were talking about bringing an artist over to the United States who was literally doing a fraction of what they were doing overseas, and you put together that production. Why are you cool to kind of talk a little bit about like some of the logistical pitfalls you were trying to avoid of like translating and scaling that show from what they were used to what it has to be now for a 2,500 person theater?
It was
I'm sure working with them was probably the most difficult part of getting them to make compromises on the production.
And again, I love Koreans, but they're also evil, nasty people. So it was a huge issue. The ego of the artist was bigger than any room I've ever walked into.
Jesus, yeah.
And then scale-wise, you had everyone that was involved. And again, I won't work with this artist again, so I'm okay to talk about it.
Sure.
And I don't have many negative experiences. It's a positive and a negative, so I did learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
But working with that group of people, there wasn't a way to really scale it. And when we did finally scale it, it was okay, but it was never good enough. And
You're saying for them.
For them.
But yeah. You
Right.
put together what you felt like was the best representation of what you
Right.
had to work with to come fill these rooms that they were booking, but they were just like, this isn't where you were used to, so
Right.
it sucks.
Were
kind
the
of thing.
shows filled?
sold out.
So all the shows were sold out at 2,500 cap.
And the way
Which, by the way, that is not a small show.
No,
yeah.
but the way the Koreans and I didn't know this, but the way they compliment the artist and everyone in the band is they buy merch. Our average merch was
yeah.
$300 a head.
Yep.
It was we couldn't keep inventory.
You
It
guys
was
sold $300
almost per head every night. It was insane. I've never ever seen it.
Were the
ever.
ticket prices lower than like your average ticket?
No, they were pretty average.
People don't really throw up merch numbers like that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I beg to differ because when you start working with Jimmy Buffett,
Oh,
Zach
sure,
Bryan,
sure. Yeah,
those
yeah.
numbers are insane.
Yeah, well, but I've got
I've
the like mid-range theater
Right.
level in my head, and
Right.
like people aren't
Yeah, the
throwing
person
those
that's
numbers up
going
like that.
to what would it be like
Scale-wise.
Fonda here would be
Right.
like 2,500.
Right.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
one spent
Right.
300 a head at a Fonda show.
No,
Absolutely
and I mean,
not.
Maybe at a Shrine show,
Right.
maybe.
And
Maybe,
they,
yeah.
and they kept talking
Or
about
Forum
it
for sure.
And they said, well, this is the way that they, rather than blowing it up, doing this is the way they compliment you. This is the way that they show their appreciation.
I want that appreciation.
Yeah, I
Right.
wish someone complimented me by buying shit from me. Like,
And I mean, we sold
that's crazy.
everything out.
Oh my god.
And what would be like a merch? Like obviously your hoodies, your t-shirts, your beanies.
Slippers, the slippers, little flashlights, posters,
Just anything, basically. Like,
anything you could think of. We throw it up there. It was
Do
gone
you
to
do
bags.
bobbleheads?
No.
so did you have a heads up on kind of what that was going to be like going into it, or literally like day one you were like, whoa, I'm going to have to order way more frequently than I
So
thought.
we talked about it. They talked about it to me, and I was just like, "Oh, you're full of shit. You don't get the
Oh,
US
because every
market."
artist, whenever they're like working with someone, they're like, "Oh, well, we do. Our fans
Right.
are like this or whatever." And like,
Right.
okay, yeah,
No, it was a goddamn train that hit me head on, and then it's like you couldn't get a truck quick enough to get all that merch in there, and then you would literally go, you would sell a half a truck a night,
that's wild.
if not more,
That's
and you'd just be like, "What the hell?" And
Did
then
you have to start splitting orders between multiple merch companies to be able to fulfill?
No.
No, you're still
Dude,
able
we
to
just
kind of
put
like
them
go
on
through.
overdrive.
You're just
So
like,
that
yep.
merch company loved you.
yeah,
They were like, all right.
100%.
That was I just texted you to open up our text thread because I wanted to show Kyle this.
Oh, the bobblehead.
So Keith texted me last December being like, hey, I have an idea for what I want to send my artists as my Christmas holiday present. And this is what he made every artist.
My own bobblehead.
I'm assuming that's what you say every night before a show starts.
We walk in 5.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing.
for people that are just listening, which is, again, everyone, because we haven't started doing video yet, but it basically looks like a Grammy in a case, but instead of
glass case and all.
But instead of a golden statue dude, it's a bobblehead of Keith.
Oh
Yep.
my God, I
Yep.
love that
Well,
so much.
it's hard because every year I want to get that artist something because some have money, some have a lot of money, and you want to get them something that money can't buy.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
always best that it's a little bit of me.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
great.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so funny.
I was looking through the other photos we've sent each other over the last few years, and it's literally just production photos.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, because there's not many people on like outside of the production world that you communicate with that you can like really talk to about like how, like things going really well that day or like a shit show day that you had. And even then, if you tell somebody you had a
Absolutely.
tough day at work, they don't really understand unless they know that like, hey, the guy that was supposed to be delivering the back line, we didn't know it was a local company and he had a flat tire an hour outside of
Absolutely.
town. What the fuck do we do? That happened last year when we were playing in Florida with Echo Smith. Like, and we had to piece together a back line from a local band. It was such a shit show. It was awful. But yeah, it's like a lot of people don't really understand.
Have you had a shit show experience that wasn't the band's fault, but just like, I'll give you an example. So last year, I'm on a European tour with the Cheat Code guys, and we're playing, same day, we're playing Mysteryland, and then we hop on a plane and go play SW4, headline SW4. So we play our Mysteryland show. Epic. It was really fun. Get to the airport with 3.5 hours before set for an 80-minute flight. So we're chilling.
Right.
As we're boarding, the
Right.
plane gets struck by lightning.
Oh my God.
And long, insane story short, we missed the show. There was just no way
Right.
to get there. Nothing anyone can do. There was literally no other planes going from Amsterdam to London that would get us there in time for the set.
yeah.
And it was like a shit
You're just
show.
fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out of everybody's hands at
Do
that
you
point.
have any like epic stories like that are just like disasters?
I don't.
Wow, you're
I've been
so
very,
lucky.
I've been very lucky. I did, but I will be honest. Last week in Dublin, I did not advance the RF frequencies, so we show up, and I dropped 5 guitars during the set.
So for people listening that don't know what that means, pretty much every show past a certain level runs off of everything's wireless. And you have RF engineers that basically their job is to make sure to scan every frequency band and like everything that's going on under and on stage to make sure that none of these bands overlap, so that whenever homegirl walks out front to sing or like guy walks out front to play his guitar solo or saxophonist goes over here to interact with this crowd, that there's never a dip and everyone can hear what's going on, because being on a stage that side and having cables is a fucking nightmare. So everything's wireless. So you're saying you didn't advance the
Frequencies.
the frequencies, and so they didn't have a master list of what to exclude.
We were trying to do it on the fly.
Oh man.
So here's the good, here's the bad. Shit show, right? But what we did do is we got her to out in front. She started moving. I called it shake your ass. She came back with a bunch of jokes about it, but at the end of it, we saw a complete different artist up on stage. And I think things like that happen for a reason, is a development, because I really enjoy developing artists.
Right.
I really like the pop. I really enjoy seeing people go big. And it's great to have the successful ones that you jump on board and blah,
Sure.
blah, blah. But seeing an artist grow is just one of the best feelings in the world to me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we went through that nightmare, and then everything else from there on in was obviously perfect, because
Yeah.
can't have 2 bad ones in a row.
Well, everyone's on high alert at that point. Like
Totally.
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on me.
Dude.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Fool me twice, I'm fired. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
exactly
Pretty
it.
much it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, because there's just so much money on
I
the
can't
line.
believe that you've been doing this for 2+ decades and you've never had an outside entity
Yes.
fuck you over.
Yes, I've
That's
had
unbelievable.
I've had things that make us
Late.
late, but not lost a show.
Have you ever had a manager put you in a position where you would have 2 shows within 5 hours of each other in other countries?
No.
Okay, well that
Yeah,
that's what I had.
that just seems irresponsible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be whooping somebody's ass.
yeah. I'd be like, yo, why the
Yeah.
fuck are we
Yeah.
doing this,
Yeah.
man? Like,
Yeah. That's crazy.
I even get grumpy on like radio promo runs, and we have to
Right.
go do like 2 cities in one day, and it's like a 4-hour drive, and then I'm just
See,
like,
I look
ugh.
at radio promo as business opportunity.
Oh, for sure.
Because I really need that artist to go and to that next level, and I want to ask for the festival.
Yep.
And I want to give everything we can to get something back out of it, because radio promo sucks.
Radio promo is exhausting, and a lot of people don't understand that that's actually what a lot of these artists do to build relationships with stations,
Have
to get spins so that they can play their records, so that you know what's popular, so you'll buy a ticket to the show.
Well, Kyle
Like,
actually loves radio promo because he just uses it as an excuse to get steaks.
oh yeah, I abuse that privilege with the PDs and like managing
Oh.
labels or like paying for
Kyle
dinner.
doesn't drink.
Like, I don't drink, and so my
he'll
logic
just go
is,
to
like-
a steakhouse with them, and they're all like getting like wine and margaritas and
That's
whatever.
awesome.
And he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm just get the $80 steak."
Yeah, I can now automatically built
Right.
in get the most expensive thing on the menu if
Right.
I want it, because I'm still spending less than you guys are.
Right. That's true. That's
And
true.
so that's basically
Who brought Ellis back?
Amanda.
Oh, so she's home.
Well, she just left again. She was going to meet a friend, and he's down for a nap, and so she just let me know that she left, and so I opened the monitor. So, if some scary monster jumps out of his closet, I'm going to like send one of you guys in. I'll stay out and do the podcast,
See,
and so
right on.
See,
yeah.
this is the thing. You watch him, right? Because something bad may happen. But you
Yeah.
would leave a candle lit without watching it. There's no difference. Your brain does not work on a linear function.
Yeah, I can't replace my son though.
You can't replace these two guitars.
Not as they sit right there, but like I don't give a fucking guitar, man. Like I don't give a shit. Like
Right.
I don't care. You're right. I shouldn't have like wanted to like leave a lit candle, but I was like,
What
oh,
would
well,
Amanda think?
Well, I don't know. She probably wouldn't care either way. She'd be like, "This is your shit, man. I don't give a
Right,
fuck." Like,
right.
yeah,
Burn it down.
And she's like, "There's a reason none of that shit's in the house,
Burn it
and so
down.
whether it's burned alive or not doesn't matter to me."
Right. Right.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
funny. Yeah, no, I was opening a baby monitor so I could see a little guy.
You've been to Japan, right?
Yes.
Have you? So one of the things that I wouldn't say I regret, but stuff that it's out of my personal control, and I'm still fairly young. I've only been doing this for like 8 years, but when we go to really cool places, the tour schedule is so tight that, you tell someone, oh, I've been to 37 countries, they're like, wow, that's fucking awesome. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, but like I've maybe like experienced 15 of them.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right? What and like Japan for me, it was one that I was lucky enough to have like 4 off days in.
Right.
And I just think that like Tokyo is LA and New York meshed into one in
Yeah.
the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's walkable and it's fast, right?
Yep.
Um,
Very similar to Hong Kong.
totally. I love
Right.
Hong Kong also. What would you say is like the coolest place you've been for like a not necessarily like a wonder of the world, but like something that a normal family just traveling together would be like, I'm going to this place for that experience that you've been able to like experience.
I get to see the world from a window a lot. So
Totally.
There's nothing that really sticks out in my head. Just nothing really just grabs me. I mean, maybe I'm just brain dead over it.
Well, after a while, they all just kind of like merge together.
Well, yeah, it's like being in London again. It's just like everybody's like, "Oh, we're gonna go out, rip it up," and I'm like, "Yeah,
No, yeah,
Nope,
no, I'm
I
with
don't
you on
want to.
that. Yeah, I might go for like a walk around the block, but
Right.
then I'm gonna go back to my bed because I have to be up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
the way my life is maybe a little bit different or designed is like I do that with my wife. So like if I see something, we earmark it and go, gotta come back and do this. And
Oh, yeah.
then,
That's really cool. What are some of those places that you've done?
China. We've done Europe, all over Europe, all the time. In a lot of cases, if I'm out on tour, she'll come over, or we'll do an Airbnb, and they'll get out in front of me. And then when I get those off days off, then boom, I'm with the family
That's
right
great.
away. So even we do everything we can to kind of keep it rolling. But then during those down times when you're not working for those couple months, your ass is on the road, and a lot of people
Yeah.
go, well, I don't like it. I'm actually, I'm in a kind of a flux. I don't like to be home more than 6 weeks at a time.
Yeah, I feel
Interesting,
that.
yeah.
I get a little stir crazy.
Bad shit crazy.
Well, because it also makes it more difficult for you to adjust when you go back out because you get into rhythms and so
Right.
much of traveling becomes autonomous. You disrupt that rhythm, even though it is nice to have time at home
Right.
and you need that time to reset. It's very necessary, but I definitely like, well, we were talking like before we started this episode, like, you know, each year you kind of move forward in life, you start to value your
Yep.
home time more and more, and you
Yep.
start to protect that a lot more. But that doesn't necessarily mean that like I still don't love what I do and I love traveling, but
Right.
I get a lot more defensive if something unnecessary comes up to disrupt this time at home.
Right.
You know, and so it's like I'll leave if it's work and I need to go and it's my job, I'll do it. Other than
Yep.
that, I want to be here.
See, and I'm the polar opposite. I've always said, well, why is home a boundary?
Sure.
Why
sure.
do you put a geofence around where you live, and that's where you live? And I get it because you have kids or whatever. But
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of it. Is like, well, grab the fucking kids, let's go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't want that to be my excuse of why we didn't do something. And
Totally.
you know, it's
Yeah.
it's that maybe that's the piece
Yeah, totally.
that's worked for me
Totally.
because I can do my job anywhere. I can go anywhere, be anywhere. I've worked out of the Bahamas and been able to work out of there and do those things. So I think that's another part of it. Obviously.
No, I totally agree with
Yeah,
that
for
because
sure.
I always, for myself, I use a decision maker for me if I'm going to do something or not is I look in the proverbial mirror and I ask, am I going to regret this at 60 when
Right.
I have all the time, 60, 70, 80, when I'm at home or in a community, like kind of retired doing whatever, am I going to look back and be like, I should have done that?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what kind of propels decisions for me, at least.
Yep.
Is that like it's not the like YOLO, but it's like the fear of not doing something that you had the opportunity to do, because like I'm hyper aware that like everyone is a couple of bad decisions or breaks away from flipping burgers.
Oh,
You know,
for
like
sure.
it's
For
not a
sure.
guarantee that you get to do these things, and obviously you work hard and the right breaks happen. But I know
Sure.
a lot of people that work their fucking asses off that just haven't had the right breaks yet.
Oh, it's most of them actually. Yeah,
100%.
Most of them haven't had the right breaks.
It's in
you
the
know?
high 90 percentile.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
to be at a place where I've been able to go to 37 countries on someone else's dollar, I'm very fortunate for that. And
Yeah.
you have to,
Oh, absolutely.
you have to keep those things kind of in perspective because, as you said, I think it's really easy for people to start thinking they're the artist
Right.
when they're on the road.
Oh yeah.
And it's a postage stamp. So I love it because I get a lot of people that try to get really close to the artist, and I don't stop anyone. Go do it. That's what you want to be. But understand, you're landing at 1,000 miles an hour on a postage stamp. And if you can do that, good fucking luck. And that's where you want to be. But
Yeah.
realize there is no safety net. There's nothing grabbing you on the way down if for some reason they want to bump you out because I can't save you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, just like you're not going to help give them a better relationship with the artist. You're also not going to save them if the artist
Correct.
says you need to cut that person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
just
I
like
see that all
yeah,
the time.
mingle at your own risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And it happens every tour.
And I haven't been on. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've been on a tour where, first of all, everyone didn't have like at least a successful working relationship. You
Right.
know, at the very least, it's usually everyone gets along, and it's like and you get to a certain level now. And even earlier, whenever I was talking about all the like asshole guys that I have, they're like pet peeves of mine. Like that goes away largely the higher up on the ladder you go. You know, you get more
Right.
experienced people, you get more professional people,
Right.
definitely more successful people. You know, cause less problems. You know,
Right.
and so yeah, definitely a lot of that goes away, and people tend to get along a lot better, you know, on
Yep.
better gigs.
It's all about the perspective, right? Because I always go back to early in my career. So Matty Evans, who owns Nocturnal Touring, who I do the tour management stuff through, there's a moment that like was burned into my mind, and we were with the Knife Party guys at Pasha in New York when it was still open. When it was still open, they were playing, and this was early. I would say this is like within the first 20 gigs I've ever done. So we're talking like 2012 or maybe even 11, and they're playing. We're right above the booth because the booth is so small that you just have to stand above it.
Yeah.
And there's like the owner's table there, and the owner Pasha's like they're handing us all drinks, having a party, and they hand Maddie a drink, and I will never forget this. He takes a drink, cheers them, puts his lips to it as if he drank it, and pours it into another cup, and then shows the cup that was filled at one point empty and puts it back on the table, looks at me and says, when you're on at a show, you have one job, and that's to get your artists back to their hotel room. After that, do whatever you want, but you're on the clock 100% until they get back to their room.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that just is like, I think that's the defining difference between someone that knows and someone that doesn't.
Yeah, and for me, I go maybe a little step further because I'm a little fucked up, but I actually don't really relax till I get home. And
Totally.
then Claudine would tell you, or anyone in my life will tell you, when I come home from even 7 days out, I'm exhausted, man, because I just...
You're on the clock 24/7.
That's it.
Totally.
It's it. And
Because
it's not
you're
just
the
her.
only barrier in between a problem and total fucking anarchy
Right.
of the things falling apart.
And you
like
know, you have the artist, but then you guys are artists too. You guys, I respect that and I understand that. And it's just not one. It's a whole gambit of people.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's the stress. I mean, I wouldn't say it's definitely low for me. I don't get stressed very often.
Sure.
Nowadays, I haven't for years. But in that perspective, 100%. When it's done and I get on that flight home, man, it just
you
hits
can
you,
kind of
you're
finally
like,
let
I'm
all the
good.
weight go.
Dude,
well, because as
I
a
don't
tour
need
manager,
a Xanax to go to bed. I'm going to bed.
right, right. Well, because as a TM, I mean, like, just because something's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility.
Right.
And that's why you probably are like, I don't really come down until the gig's over.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, because you could easily get a call at 3 a.m. The guitar player be like, hey, we went to a strip club and like Derek got in a fist fight and he got arrested and we're in
Been there,
Amsterdam.
done
Like,
that.
yeah, exactly. And so you're like, oh
100%.
shit. Well, we've got a flight to catch in 9 hours to
Yep.
go to this other show.
Yep.
Holy fucking shit.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I'm the same way as that. Like, I don't really drink as it is. Like, to me, drinking is like a glass of wine with a cigar.
Yeah, you
Right.
never really drink a lot.
Yeah, not really my
yeah.
thing, but I am so stressed 24/7.
So you could probably stand to have
But-
like maybe a glass of wine a night.
Maybe, but honestly, I'll have my glass of wine like pre-sound check.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
once,
yeah, I
Once
got
I'm
you.
at the venue through the night, I'm like so stressed. But
Oh, yeah.
the reality is, I'm having 3 dudes push play with a USB stick with
Right.
no live instruments.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have no business being
Dude,
stressed compared
right.
to what he has to deal with.
Sure.
Well, I mean, you have a sense of failure.
Totally.
We all wear it, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 guitars not going or a USB stick.
100%.
I mean, you wear that the same way I wear that. We all deal with it the way we have to deal with it, and hopefully as people mature and they go through the process, you learn how to deal with that stress,
Yep.
because it's another reason a band is, hey man, you just have to hand the guitar off and then go to the bus, you know. Fuck
Yeah.
you, Kyle.
Well, yeah, exactly. Fuck, I'm always first in line to say "fuck you, Kyle" to myself. Just like I'll like the new iPhone's going on sale in 10 minutes. I got the rope, you know what I mean? Like I'll open it up and I'll be like, I'm first in line. Then the rest of you are gonna have a chance to like
Right.
tell me how fucking awful
But
I
we're
am.
the guys who called Apple and got it before you did, so it's all good.
Exactly. There you go. I know.
you just
I know
gave
Tim
Tim
Apple.
Apple.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the greatest. That was the
that's
greatest
funny.
thing ever that Trump called Tim.
Trump's sitting next to Tim Cook, calls him Tim Apple.
I need to make a quick phone call.
Oh,
Yeah, we can pause.
yeah.
We come if you're if you're down to keep going. Let's
seconds.
just take a pause.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we had to take a quick break and just take some phone calls. I went PP, and
Oh, is that what you did?
well, I had to call back. I was talking about this FedEx nightmare I've
Oh
been
my
having, and
God.
so I had to have a phone call with that real quick. And so,
Did you fix it?
well, one of them is kind of so I sold like $4,000 worth of pedals
Yeah.
on Reverb recently, and Reverb's just an app.
Yep.
So
Hello?
there's whatever's left, sure.
Bit.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because I'm in the process of putting together some new tour rigs and I'm just offloading shelves of gear
Sure.
that like I don't really need and, things I have
Long
duplicates
story
of,
short,
stuff like
FedEx
that.
fucked up the
FedEx
shipping.
fucked it up. I had multiple boxes going to different places and I was
they
at
didn't
FedEx
get
for
where they had
a
to
while.
go.
And like got them all out, and then like 2 days after I drop everything off, which is yesterday, I start getting all these emails. Dude's like, "Hey man, these are not the pedals that I bought. Like blah blah blah." And so like all the boxes went to like wrong addresses. And so now I'm having to deal with all of these buyers and just be like, fuck. So thankfully they've all been super cool and be like, "Hey man, there's a fuck up at FedEx, like whatever."
Right.
And like one of the guys called me a minute ago. I missed the call, and I called the number back. I was like, "Oh, who's this?" And so they're just like, they're super nice. And so I had make my life a lot easier to not have it anymore. We talked. No, I have a son. I can't die now. Like that's a thing. And so yeah. But yeah, so just dealing with that's annoying. And so like this kid actually took my box in and paid to ship it back to me, and then I told him to take a photo of the receipt, and I'll throw him a couple extra bucks for gas and stuff. And so he was so nice and so helpful. Everybody else has been pretty nice too, and just be like, "Hey, I'm sorry." They've been really understanding. Just like, it's cool. I'm just like, it's going to take a couple extra days to sort it out. You guys are going to get your stuff a little bit later than expected. I'm sorry, but it's been a fucking nightmare.
Wow.
That's why yesterday and today I've been breaking my no soda rules. I've just been drinking
soda is like your drinking.
Yeah.
It's your vice.
Yeah, now there's nothing left.
Right, because you don't smoke cigars anymore.
I don't do cigars.
You don't drink.
Do weed, cigars, pipes.
Well, you do Gandalf pipes.
No.
Wow.
Not anymore. I used to. I've really, really nice classic
pipes.
Like Briar and Meerschaum pipes that I can't smoke anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because my lungs
will you
are
sell
like
them to us?
Fried.
You can, Well, they're about 10 years older than I am, and they function at about 80 to 90% capacity, and they just.
That sounds amazing.
That's what kids do to you.
Yeah. Oh man. So I just kind of have to cut everything. And my wife is also a registered dietitian and a fitness instructor.
You're absolutely fucked. You're fucked.
And so it's like I've got to watch even like how much cheese I put in shit, let alone abusing alcohol and tobacco for years. And so it's cool though. I'm actually way better on the out of it.
That's good.
Emotionally, physically, it's great. I'm coming up on the 6-month mark.
We're gonna bring his wife on soon, and we're gonna do a really fun kind of comic-y podcast where, because she's a registered dietitian, we gave her a few of our favorite Marvel superheroes, Hulk, Captain America, etc., and she's gonna prepare diets that would sustain the caloric intake that they would need to live.
Well, you can do actually Thor.
Really?
Yeah, he's Chris actually has an app now.
Oh, I did see that.
Oh, really?
You can work out like Chris.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you ever watch the movie Cabin in the Woods, so pre Thor, he is significantly smaller,
which still is a really fit dude, and like,
but he's not a god.
Yeah, no. And so, Chris Hemsworth pre his involvement in Marvel is not even close to how big he is now. The dude is fucking massive.
Well, I think it's. When he gets ready to do a movie, he works out.
Oh, sure, he'll bulk and stuff like that. Yeah. But he's like.
Yeah,
he's huge.
His baseline is much bigger than it used to be.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%.
You know whose baseline is massive? It's, Jason Momoa.
I thought you were going to say The Rock.
Well, that guy too, but like,
huge.
Dave Bautista, like all these dudes. Like,
oh my God,
Bautista's kind of
monster.
Yeah, but they're all small next to The Rock.
No, Jason Momoa is way taller than The Rock.
We gotta find some photos. Like Vin Diesel looks like weak compared to The Rock.
Well, Vin Diesel's also like 5'9". Like like he's
is
not.
Momoa as tall as The Rock?
I think Jason Momoa is taller than The Rock.
I don't think that's a fact.
All right. You were about to probably ask a more relevant question that's going to move this conversation forward, but I can't move past this. You look at how tall is The Rock. I'll look at how tall is Jason Momoa.
Yeah, no. These are the important parts of the conversation.
I don't know. Maybe they're the same. So this says that Jason Momoa is 6'4".
Wow.
No, I think Rock is taller than
I don't think he's. No, Rock isn't over 6'4".
That's what I'm saying. There's no 6'4" is tall.
I think he's 6'2".
I'm 6'2", and I'm
6'5", bitch.
There's no way The Rock is 6'5".
Boom, motherfucker.
The Rock is not 6'5".
That's what it says.
No
That's what it says.
fucking way.
That's
is he 6'5"?
Yeah, I don't see that.
No, I don't believe it. I
That's
don't.
awesome.
I don't believe that. I'm with you, man. Like The
Yeah.
Rock is 6'2".
Yeah.
The only way that this is gonna get fixed is if you get The Rock and the DCEU now, put them
Yep.
next to each other.
Yep. Well, but even then, they could like Stallone Lundgren this and like,
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? And like
Yeah, yeah.
alter the, and because like all throughout the early Rocky movies, like Sylvester Stallone had heels like in his boots that he wore
Yeah,
in the
right,
ring.
I
And then
do.
they took him out whenever
Right.
he was fighting Dolph Lundgren in Rocky 4.
Right. Because I think he was only nipple high.
Yeah. he's
I
not a
believe
tall
it.
dude.
No,
Stallone's like 5'6",
Yeah,
7,
I
something like
think
that.
he
Yeah.
take a zipple off the nipple.
Yeah.
Is the way I used to look at it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Oh, man. That's great.
So you don't have any tattoos, do you?
No.
Now,
Just about ready to do one, and I didn't do it.
Really?
Oh,
yeah?
Yeah.
well, I was gonna say because that's like really unique for someone
It
that
is.
tours and is on the road as much as you and,
Yeah.
and works in the entertainment industry to not have any art. Like I'm a Jew and I have 5
Yep.
tattoos.
Yep.
So, what is there a reason? Have you just not really? Was there
Yes.
not like a moment?
Nope. I blame my dad. He fucked with me. So growing up, my dad had this whole thing, and I love my dad to death. Don't get me wrong. Used to tell us, we don't get tattoos in this family. Everybody else gets them. They're below us. Blah blah blah
Oh,
blah
wow.
blah. But then again, my dad was a brewery worker, so
Sure.
take it from where you fucking get it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's fast forward to about 10 years ago, and seeing my dad, and Dad's like, "Hey, check this out! I got a tattoo."
Stop.
And you're like, no.
Oh no!
Did you-
Wait, let me finish, because I sat there and I went, "You gotta be fucking
Like, you
joking
fucking
me.
serious?
You really fucking did this?" So no. So what do? And anyone in my family, which I text my brothers, and I was like, "Can you fucking believe what he did?" Because none of my brothers have them either, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "The motherfucker has a tattoo," and they both went, "Yeah," and I went, "It's the only reason why I didn't get one, because of Dad."
Right.
Oh, my
like, They
God.
didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Right.
Like,
right.
oh, man.
and I don't,
And you start going to therapy 10 years ago.
it's like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's not many things that I can identify, but that is one. I'm like, everyone knows me. I'm just like, that fucked with me so bad.
oh
So
my
Dang.
God.
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and there's one artist in Australia that I've given a commitment to. So when I'm over
That's
there next
awesome.
time, which should be not too long,
And
that-
you know exactly what you want?
yeah, I know exactly what I want.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Coordinates of the Bahamas house,
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
and then obviously my Evil Panda.
Nice.
Yeah, that's rad.
Right.
One of my last tattoos is in Australia. There's a lot of
Was
good
it?
artists over there.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's super
Yeah,
funny.
you got that hand one's pretty new, right?
Well, I got this last summer on the Katy tour.
How did
Nice.
how did Amanda feel about you getting one on the hand?
Like, not as she didn't handle it as well as she handled whenever I got my neck tattooed.
Yeah, 'cause you got the neck tattoo. I was with you when you got that one.
Yeah, and because I've gotten a number of like finger and hand tattoos and neck tattoos without her knowing, and then she'll see me and she'll be like, "What's the matter with you?" Like,
Right.
it's,
right.
or what usually happens is like, I'll be like, "Oh, well, I want to show her whenever I get home," or blah blah blah. But then we're FaceTiming. She's like, "What the fuck is that?"
Right.
Like, for sure. And so, because I kept the hand one from her for a
But
couple
the
of days.
neck
and-
one, you like asked her permission, if I remember correctly.
No.
Oh, you just were FaceTiming her as it was happening.
I FaceTimed her like, at the shop after I got
Right,
it.
right, right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
no takebacks.
And she wasn't okay with
Right.
it.
She was cool. She was just like, so I kind of have this like childish system that I've adapted, which is, when you're a kid and you have a buddy over and you want to ask them, then you want to ask your mom to do something she's going to say no to.
So you do it.
But then you leave. But then you bring your friend with you because your mom's not going to rage out on you in front of your friend. And so you're like, "Hey, mom, can we like do blah 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 tonight?" And then like your buddy's next to you, and your mom's not gonna like put you on blast and like let your friends know how fucking crazy she is. And so she's like, "Yeah, I guess." It's kind of what it's like. So I FaceTime Amanda and show her new tattoos, like
With
when
other
Logan's,
people.
when Logan or you like somebody's around. And I'm like, I'm like, "Hey, babe, what are you doing?" Well,
Wow.
we just went and did this fun thing. Like, check it out, 'cause I know she's not gonna blow up on me in front of other people.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But she did blow up with you for the hand tattoo.
She didn't blow up on me with a hand tattoo, but she was just like, I'm not there yet. It's going to take a while. I'm not a fan right now. I know I will be. Let's just
Wow.
not talk about it anymore and just give me time. And
then she bought you a Michael Jackson glove, and it was like a hint. And she was like, "You should probably wear this."
because I already have the jackets and stuff, and so it's
So low key. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I get home. She's like, "Anyway, do you now wear this glove for the next 3 months until I get over you getting a hand tattoo in a very, very noticeable place without talking to me about it first?"
Is she okay with it now, or is it still a little?
Yeah, she's fine. She doesn't really care anymore. I mean, just like, I'm not,
It's dope. I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's and I have two sleeves and like big chest piece.
Yeah,
and
his
like,
whole arm, everything.
And so I'm just like I love having tattoos. I don't particularly enjoy getting them. I think a lot of people.
I missed that out in my childhood.
I
don't know.
I got mine at like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All of mine, because I'm Jewish. Right?
I started getting tattooed.
So I
I
had
think
to
when I
be
was
like
20.
established in the entertainment industry for my parents to not be like, "No, we're gonna disown you."
Yeah.
I was like established. I had done some cool things, and
Right,
then I was
right.
like, "I'm gonna get tattoos now." And they're like, "You've earned it."
Yeah.
Like, all right.
See, and I think growing up or being in the industry, there's been 1,000 people have offered to buy me one for years.
Totally.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, at a certain point, it compounds, right? So when you're on the road and people start hearing the story that you don't have tattoos, and then they find out that you'd want them, but you just don't have any,
Yeah.
then people are like, "How much? I'll just get it."
They
for
want
you."
to be the first
They
person
wanna
to give
be
you the
that
first
story
tattoo.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did you ever come close to just like YOLOing on a tour? Like how? Like Brent got a tooth tattoo with Noah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
my
used to call
God.
it his
I remember
tattooth.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I
That
remember
was
that.
so fucked up.
It was cool though. I actually like.
That was so fucked up
It
the
actually
way they did that.
It took a lot more for me to get used to Brent without it than when with it because it just fit so well.
God,
I was
I
just like,
forgot
this
all
just makes
about
sense.
it.
Yeah. Well, because it came off and he was just like, I'm not. Whatever. My dentist was like, nah.
Yeah, he started telling us his dentist was like, "Absolutely not."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was just like, it's not a thing anymore, and so I just decided to not keep it up. So
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
But has there ever been a moment where like on tour, whether the artist or crew's like, "We're going right now," and you like almost was like, "Fuck it, let's go."
Oh, 1,000
all the
times.
times.
Thousands and thousands of times. I probably
And then you'd
been-
hear your dad in the back of your head, and you wouldn't go, and then you see him with a tattoo, and you're like, "Fuck you, Frank."
Well, no, because what happens is that you get to a point with it, you're like, well, I got one now. So
Right.
why am I going to do it unless I have a real specific meaning behind it? And then that just kind of escapes because I'm never thinking about it. Now I've been thinking about it. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Totally, yeah. I mean, all my tattoos have a very significant meaning.
Correct. Yeah.
I think
mine stopped being that after like 3.
Yeah. You're just foot and ink. It's art.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm the type of person to where I just reduce it to like I still get tattoos that mean something to me, and like I
Right.
have tattoos that are meaningful. But at the end of the day, I just understand that I want to have a certain aesthetic and I enjoy certain things, and like it's just that's just the type of person that I enjoy being, and that's enough, and that's fine. It's like
And I look at him and I'm envious.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I think the next tattoo that you get is a Mike Tyson.
Oh, just face.
Yeah,
like,
just go for it.
I don't know, man.
Oh,
Like
You'll get a divorce notice.
My God.
I also never said that I would get hand or neck tattoos. That was a deal I made with my parents when they finally came around to late. When I was 20, they were like, well, okay, and then now the fucking floodgates open. And I even told Amanda early in our marriage and relationship, I was just like, no hands, no neck. That's the thing. And now we've gone so far beyond that. It's like, I don't even tell people I get tattoos anymore. I just show up. I was at a friend's birthday party last week. I walked in and people were like, are those tattoos new? And I was just like, I honestly don't remember. Like, I don't know anymore.
I have a buddy, an artist that I work with. I'm not going to name who came from a family that really did not approve tattoos. And he'd gotten a full, like, back of the head ohm.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Oh, man, yeah.
Full head. He went full in. And then he had to go home for the holidays. And he wore a hat and a turtleneck all 10 days at home.
God. Oh, how horrible.
That's awesome.
Bastard. Oh,
That's tough. See, that's mean. See, it's at that point, I'm just like, just get it out, man. It's like,
yeah.
Grandma was there.
yeah. I haven't had grandparents in at 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so I'm
that's
just like,
why you have hand and neck tattoos.
It's exactly right. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, because the parents are irrelevant. It's the
Yeah.
grandparents that you don't want them to look at you with disappointment.
Yeah, well, and the focus is no longer on me anyway because like I have a kid, and
Right.
anytime my parents talk to me,
You're
it's
secondary.
really just to
Yeah.
get to my kid.
Yeah,
and so
you're
it's
just
like,
a conduit
Yeah.
at this point.
Totally. And so I'm just like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you go to a restaurant, you really care, give a fuck with like what your spoon looks like that you're
Right.
using to feed yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you only care about this thing and on the plate, and you're the thing, and then I'm just in the middle now, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter anymore.
So, Kyle, in addition to being a music director, also is what I've coined the term woodsman.
Mm-hmm.
So he builds incredible furniture, and every
Oh,
piece of furniture
right on.
at my house is built by Kyle.
I think you told me this once.
Yeah, and
That's one of my in between tour
So
things.
this is the new coffee table he just built me.
Holy shit, that's nice.
Right? It's really, really, really sexy. Oh, let me find the other photo.
That's a dick. That's a dick pic.
It's really sexy, and then it's just
This whole
Matt's
thing got
ass.
really
yeah.
uncomfortable.
So he built this for us. Me and Alexis had the
Wow,
idea.
that's awesome.
And then this is what it
Thanks.
looks like in the house. We put records in it.
Dude, that's fantastic.
So the reason I bring it up is what outside of music and the corporate stuff that you've like kind of done, what is like a passion project that when you have like 3 or 4 months at home that like you really love diving back into?
Right now, it is in Omak, Washington. My youngest bought some property up there. It's off grid, so no electricity, no nothing.
Awesome.
40 acres.
And you farm.
Yeah, we go up there and we are putting everything in place to kind of hang out. You know,
That's really cool. Is
That's
it going to
awesome.
stay off the grid? You can go solar? You
no,
gonna...
we're definitely going to put in solar. I was actually looking at windmills yesterday.
So
That's
cool.
tight.
Yeah, but it's
Are you going to have a farm on it?
yeah. We haven't decided what it's going to be. We're going to put a trailer up there, a nice, really nice trailer up there. He's already got one up there now. It's got water. It's got some other stuff. We just have to tap into it, which is really awesome. But man, like bears.
Oh, yeah?
In your yard.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, like you can hear the coyotes. But the fun part is like I can take my side by side up there in the winter. And
That's fun. That's
yeah,
so fun.
it's just
And you're just going to go out on the grass, on the
it's
side by
just-
side.
Oh, it's
amazing.
it's unbelievable. And
That's
then it backs
awesome.
up to 500 acres of state land. So
Oh, cool.
that's one of it. And then the other project we have going on is searching for another place. I'm trying to suggest maybe Nashville.
Ooh, I love Nashville.
For the music scene and,
Yep.
and more accounts because I'm greedy like that.
No, you love it.
But yeah, so
Go
that's-
big or go home on
Yep.
the accounts for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
What else? Is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't want to be a pussy at this interview.
no, it's great.
Is there anything specifically that you want to kind of dive into?
No.
I love it.
I've talked all I've wanted to talk in my
but
whole life.
that's good.
Yeah.
I've noticed on the last like 3 or 4 interviews, like when we get to a point where we think we've hit everything that we've wanted to talk about, I'll ask that,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guest will always be like, "No, we've covered everything," which I think is a testament to how bad we
great.
are at our interview because they just want to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm just
No,
like, cool.
You know what? I guess if there was one thing I would discuss or talk about would be, you know, this industry that we've enjoyed and made a living out of. I think anyone who is in this industry owes it to their self, their family, and anyone else to pay it back and to bring someone else that's starting in the industry and help them. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's been many instances where you've called me, Matt, and I didn't pick up that phone,
100%.
and vice versa.
100%.
Yeah, I completely agree.
If Keith puts a text together with like a new photographer like you've done,
Yep.
or even with Nolan when we were looking for someone, it's
Yep.
an automatic, let's see how we can all work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're only as big as the community that you make, and if
100%. We've
if
talked about that a lot, yeah.
If you're not open to making the community, then it's pointless. Go get a desk job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
There's
more.
so many walls that legacy walls is what I call them
Mm-hmm.
that have started to drop and go down. And the one thing that
Especially at USC.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no shit.
That was crazy,
Too
right?
soon.
No, I mean this will come out like a month from now, so it won't be too soon.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's cool. But
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. It's insane. But, you know, I think that's probably one of the things that I try to do is bring the younger guys in or show them and put them on a world stage and just say there's no difference from you than the next guy. But
Yeah.
you got to do your time. You got to understand, and here's a glimpse of it. And if you want it, take it. If you don't, cool.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great. I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, I think that, ultimately, if you get to a certain point in the industry and then are unwilling to help somebody else out with their career, I think you're a liar, because you're saying that no one did that for you, and that's a total fucking
100%.
bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit.
You don't get to where any of the three of us have gone in this industry without someone that has absolutely no need of helping you being like, I'll give you that shot.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
a part of one of my master classes that I like, what I say whenever I'm talking about like kind of helping younger people understand even how to begin to try and get a foot in the door or network with people or whatever. And one of the things that I talk about is that like you have to work as hard as you can. You have to obviously do everything within
Multiply it by 10.
Yep.
Yeah, multiply by 10. You have to do everything within your tangible grasp and reality to do as much for yourself as you can. But you will at some point, more than likely, someone will throw you a bone, throw you a lifeline,
You need
give you
to
a break.
identify that.
You need to be able to identify that
Number
they're
one thing
hooking you up.
is
And
luck.
yeah, exactly.
100%.
So I called the whole section of it like planning for luck. Like you need to prepare for having luck.
100%. I mean,
Because you'll get a break if you work hard.
Yep.
You need to know how to capitalize on that well and take advantage of it.
I want to tell my story real quick
Yeah,
about
absolutely,
like my
absolutely.
luck moment because it was crazy. So early in the 2010s, I'm graduating college and I knew I wanted to be doing marketing and maybe some branding stuff, but I didn't really know what yet. Taking a gig at Apple, doing corporate sales, and then went to Electric Zoo, the festival in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And after that festival, all I wanted to do is be in production. I thought it was the coolest thing that, for me, when I saw like people on stage that the DJs would look back to, I instantly was like, I want to be the guy that this one dude needs to make his performance work for 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Right.
that was the coolest idea to me. And so I started like doing my thing, networking, figuring out how and where I could meet people. And through all of that, I met a few artists I started doing marketing for. And because of that, I was granted like artist access on a festival called Holy Ship, which is a 3-day rave cruise. And on that ship is where I met Maddie Evans and Knife Party. And just through talking to them, was able to build this relationship. And then after 5 months of persistence, he let me do a show with him, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
to the luck part, because it was on a ship, security staging is significantly different than how it is after. And Maddie we always talk about how he's like, dude, you would never have even gotten that close to me on a regular stage.
Right.
We wouldn't have even been able to talk because I would have seen you walk up, badge or not, and either tackled you or had someone tackle you from getting that close to me during a performance. But because everybody's in sandals on a cruise ship at 1 a.m. in the middle of the ocean, I'm way more laxed.
Right.
So I was like,
Right,
cool,
right.
I'll have a conversation with this kid, see what's up. And it turned into this relationship where he became
That's
my
awesome.
mentor.
That's awesome.
And I was able to work. But that was all luck. If
Yeah,
I had
for
met
sure.
him in any other situation, that
wouldn't
doesn't happen.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
amazing.
totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well-
You just got to be able to recognize it and understand that, there's a certain level of preparation that goes into making sure you trust yourself enough to go, oh, someone's throwing me a bone here.
Right.
All right, I now need to rely on everything that I've done to work hard to build myself up to get to this point.
Yep.
And now go prove to myself and to somebody else that like that's not in vain and that I actually now have something to offer.
agree.
And then once you do that and you step forward, then that's day one and now you're ready to really learn.
Yep.
Like, because you don't really start learning until you actually get into what you want to do.
Yep.
Because it's not like a trade program, it's like, it's like you can learn everything there is about, how an internal combustion engine works without ever seeing one because
Right.
you can read about it, and you can study. And like, I know people probably argue different points, but the point that I'm trying to make is that in these types of industries, you have no fucking idea
Right.
what's going on until you leave and you get on a plane and you show up into that room.
Oh, yeah.
You get there. That's day one.
And there
You know
is
what I mean?
there is no parachute.
Nope. There's no preparation
in the
for
perfect
that.
scenario we just had in Dublin. So hired hired a kid named Jay Lanos. It didn't even hire him. He was an intern for David Blaine, fresh out of Full Sail.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, in
Great
Florida,
kid.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked his ass off as an intern. I didn't even notice him. Claudine, my wife, noticed him and said, hey, you should bring him on for Caroline. Brought him in. He was the driver, hauling all of our gear, helping me with meet and greets. And then I found a spot and I said, hey, man, what do you think about doing video for us? So literally this last week, he just did video for the very first time live without a net for 13,000 people.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's
First
a lot.
time.
Yeah.
He was, and the kid's Puerto Rican. He was white as a ghost. It was the best. I was like, I remember those days. But that goes back to paying it forward. You're paying it backwards. Whatever you wanna call
Absolutely.
it. So,
You know?
but I mean, it's those kind of things that I'm really enjoying now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, I don't want to do this forever, but while I'm here, I'm going to enjoy that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. It's cool being able to, like, you know, give back and like help somebody else with their career, you know, because
And
like,
if you don't like doing that, then like fuck you.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think,
Right?
I think you have a service to your fellow industry man or woman or to anyone who's wanting to get into it. Like you do owe it to like the collective society that you are leeching from to give back to it, you know, because we all take so
100%.
much from this fucking industry and from the society, you know, and a lot of it we deserve and a lot of it we see that we can take, but like you're an asshole if you take from a group without giving back to it.
Yep.
And I think helping people get to where they want to go and build relationships is the way to do that. And,
No,
you know,
I agree.
it's, I just, my whole, I just always say people first, like at the end of the day,
100%.
just people first,
And
you know?
and I think for me the like quote that like I live my life by, and I think in this touring world you have to, is a famous quote from Richard Branson, which is say yes and figure out how to do it later.
Yeah.
No one
That's
knows
awesome.
how
Yeah, for sure.
to do it.
For sure.
It's just there's certain people that will take that leap of faith and be like, I have enough gall and brains and quick wit to understand what needs to be done in the moment, or I don't.
Yep.
And that's the difference between someone that's doing it and somebody that thinks they want to do it.
Yep.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Agree.
Yeah. I mean,
I think,
great talk.
Yeah, this was amazing.
Covered a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think we got an appropriate amount of shit talking out.
I think
you know.
Kyle's gonna buy a Segway now.
No,
Yeah.
don't buy a Segway. Don't buy a fucking.
Well, I really only want to ride it in my yard. And so, yeah.
The next time Keith is gonna be on, we're gonna do a video side by side episode.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we definitely have to do one.
100,000% we got to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna be strapped to the roof though, 'cause it's only 2 seats.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's fine with me.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's super fun. Well, yeah. Anything, we always ask people if there's anything they want to plug before we get off. I mean, for you, I think anyone that you're working.
Evil Panda.
Yeah, Evil Panda for sure.
EvilPandaTouring.com.
EvilPandaTouring.com.
We're actually doing a kind of a fun game that we're going to launch here later this year. So my logo itself, if I could, well, you've seen it, is we've got stickers in all these arenas and shows I'm doing. I'm hiding stickers, and it could be anywhere. So if you get a picture of yourself with one of my stickers that you found, if you're in the industry, send it to us, and we'll send you a gift.
Oh,
It'll be like
nice.
a shirt, a bag. I got some
tea set.
some really really dope gear.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
tight.
Yeah. So we're
So
just
look for it in every major arena around the world.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, maybe we could do a giveaway through the podcast
Yeah,
too.
we'd love to.
Yeah,
For
love to.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, yeah, so definitely Evil Panda, and then anyone that you're
And
working.
then what's the Noah show you were talking about in Florida?
We've got one in Gainesville on the 22nd.
Awesome.
So this may not air before
No,
that
it
show
probably
goes
won't.
out.
No.
So
But,
this will be in the past.
Yep.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that show is gangster though.
Yeah, man.
Sure, it'll be good. It's always good.
Is it college kids? Is it like a
Yep.
college show?
It's at
Tight.
University of Florida.
Oh man,
That's gonna be fun.
Yep.
there we go.
Do you have some? You're gonna have some video there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, send some video and we'll use it for
Yeah,
promo for this
right on.
episode.
Okay.
That'll be
Yeah, that's
tight.
great, man.
And Caroline's going on tour with Chesney.
We got Kenny Chesney first for 21 shows, 20 shows
Wow.
with Zach Brown. And then I think, I haven't seen the Jimmy Buffett schedule yet, but we'll probably pick up 15, 20 there.
Amazing.
That's super fun.
Yep.
That's
and
awesome.
then we're doing a lot of festivals this year.
Good for her.
It's a big touring year.
It's another year.
Love it.
It's another year.
Cool guys.
All
Well,
right.
that's Keith Albrizzi,
Thank you
Evil
for having me.
Panda.
Yep.
Love you all.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Later. Bye.